This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 535 for the week of Monday, September 3rd, 2018. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
And my name is Alex.
Good to have you guys here with us this week. We also have very special guest translator for One Piece in Weekly Shonen Jump. Stephen Paul's with us. How's it going, Stephen?
Hey, pretty good. I am looking forward to getting some goodies in the mail this week, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah. We also have director for Teen Titans Go and Rick and Morty. We have Bryan Newton with us. How's it going, Bryan?
Hey, hope everyone's enjoying their Labor Day, or as I like to say, a lot of workers fought and died to get weekends and this day off.
Starting us off on a high note. An honest high note, but a high note nonetheless. We also have our anime recap host and Anime News Network writer. We have Sam Leach with us. How's it going, Sam?
Hey, I still don't have my shiny ho-oh, but one of these days, so if I start making a noise during the podcast, nobody here knows what I'm talking about.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Is that one of them
I know what you're
Pokemans?
talking about.
One of them Pokemans?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's poking some mans.
Is that how that works? Before we get started, I want to remind people to please subscribe to us on Patreon if you haven't. We have new tiers. We're going to be adding new stuff throughout this month to the benefits that you could possibly get from our Patreon subscriptions. So subscribe now, get to them early. Included in that is a chance to be on our podcast, to join us in our trivia round, and a lot more. So that's all at patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. Before we get into the show, there are two releases coming out this week. Stephen, you were hinting at it. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, so we're going to have volume 90 of the manga in Japanese coming out tomorrow. Well, at the time that we're recording this, it's probably today because Japan is always a day ahead. As well as the release of Viva Card. I guess I should say the launch of the Viva Card, because this is the latest they call it a fan book, not a data book. And it's not even really a book in this case. It is a binder. Like if you buy it, you get a binder with a bunch of cards. And I'm not sure exactly how big this is going to be. I ordered it, so I should be getting it in the next couple of days along with the volume. But it has cards, like each character has a single card that is designed to show off a bunch of information about that collects all of the, the little profile bits, things that Zach has been using for trivia, for example, and kind of a loose, timeline of what the character has been through, and has some sketches from Oda, just a lot of stuff that can be quickly and easily cross-referenced, and it comes in with a binder, and they're going to be selling. I forget how many cards come with it, but they are also selling booster packs, 2 coming out per month, and I believe these are fixed packs. It's not like a blind pack where you're like, oh, which ones am I going to get? Like baseball cards, it's like you buy the pack, it has certain characters in it.
That's good news.
Yeah. Otherwise, it would be a nightmare to try to keep up with this. But I'll talk more about that, and I know that they put up the listings for those packs on Amazon Japan as well. So
good.
When we do go through that, I'll be able to mention which ones are coming out. They're kind of sprinkling them around. It's not entirely chronological, but it's just sort of themed based on certain groups of characters. So.
What does it cost?
What's it cost? I believe the yen price is like $12.50 or $13.50 or something like that. So to get it shipped and everything from Japan is probably $20.
Maybe it'll be at Kino's in America. Who knows?
I would expect.
Yeah, I would hope so.
It probably will be.
Yeah, so I'm eager to see that, to see what it's like. So the idea basically being that because it is kind of, adjustable in nature, you just add to it as you get more cards. They can continually put out these packs for as long as there are new characters coming into the story. So that's interesting. I guess it's kind of an experiment. I don't think they know entirely how that's all going to shake out either, but hopefully it turns out to be something real cool. And our good friend Greg had a part in it.
Most importantly.
Yeah.
We also have the release of volume 90 this week.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and we talked about the cover, but we'll go through all of the SBS and various goodies.
I mean, we could just say for sure that one of your predictions came true. Thank God.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess we'll talk about that more.
It seemed pretty obvious in retrospect, but I was kind of amazed that it turned out to be true.
Well, it's just when you see it, it's like, this is so perfect. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about volume 90 and the Vivre card book. Probably either next week or the break after that. We also have the Skypiea special, and Kelly's journey through Japan. So we have like a lot of material. Not quite sure what is going to be, airing on the podcast, but you could expect all of that in the near future. Every time there's a break, we should have some pretty cool coverage for you, is what that means. So don't turn that dial. If podcasts had such a thing. So that's going to do it for release news. Why don't we get into the manga? Are you guys ready?
All right.
You bet.
Oh, yeah.
This is the manga recap for chapter 916, Wano Sumo. What is happening on the cover of Shonen Jump this week? Ed?
It's a big hamburger.
Nothing else to be said about that. Sure. It looks like a brunch one, because it has egg, and there's also bacon.
And fries.
And what looks like American cheese.
That's a Pittsburgh sandwich.
A Pittsburgh sandwich?
With the fries in it.
Oh, yeah. I love sandwiches with fries in it. I feel like
it looks like so good.
Yeah.
Another news, Zach enjoys heartburn.
Look who's talking. Steven, do you want to explain a little bit about the background of this picture?
Yeah, so ironically, the issue of Jump in Japan, if you picked up an issue, not only did you get, which I forgot to mention in the intro, do you get special, like, exclusive Vivre cards for Luffy Taro and Zorojuro, which I guess are probably not going to be available elsewhere. You also get, I think you get a coupon for a free burger from McDonald's, which is definitely going to look exactly like this, for sure, every time I go to McDonald's.
I was about to say, ain't no McDonald's burgers look like this.
There are fries in the burger.
To be fair, McDonald's burgers in Japan are slightly different than they are here.
Yeah, I understand they're better.
This looks more like a fat burger to me.
Yeah, this looks like a legit burger.
This looks like
it's a tasty burger.
Like the burger from that ancient meme of the guy who is like, it's like the novelty size burger. The guy who's eating it. Oh man, now I feel old.
I don't remember that. Yeah.
Find a picture of that one.
What decade is the meme from?
Yeah, we're talking about 2003 probably.
Wow. Yeah, it's not one of those 1980s memes.
Okay. God, those were weird. So that's cool. You could pick up Japanese Shonen Jump for those who are like really into getting that on Amazon Japan, I'm sure.
I'm actually ordering it right now.
Or at Kino if you have one nearby.
Or at Kino if you want to visit a physical store, or Book Off or something like that, or any local Japanese import store should have that. And I'm definitely going to go pick one of those up as well. Maybe we'll have it at a convention in probably the distant future, unless one of you guys are at a convention soon. Yeah. So anything else you want to talk about the cover? It's nice.
You can buy tickets for Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan.
Let's not, and encourage them to not do that again.
What's wrong with Vegeta's leg there? Never mind.
Oh, yeah, no, you guys, this is from. That's not. That's. I think this is old key art from the original poster, right?
It is.
All right, let's move away from Dragon Ball Z for just a second here. Talk about the.
I mean, we gotta wrap this podcast up quickly. I got to go back to watching all that Dragon Ball Z I bought. I'm gonna be doing nothing else for a year.
Let's talk about the color spread, Ed.
Okay, you got next year's calendar summer spread. It's stylish summer this time. And to compensate for having ladies in kimonos on this year's calendar, we're having them in bikinis for next year's calendar. Like, I can pinpoint these now from a mile away, what's going on the calendar. It's really nice looking, though. I like the springtime colors, even though it's a summer.
Yeah,
catalog.
it's a great looking spread.
Sam, any thoughts?
I just noticed that the One Piece logo continues on Nami's leg.
Yep.
In writing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Luffy's doing his Gallagher impression.
What is Chopper doing there exactly?
It's those little sparklers. That
Is he upside down?
No. The sparklers. It's like the little ones that they just dangle on the bottom, and then they kind of fizzle. They're like one of those super safe, like for kids, type of fireworks.
We get old haircut Frankie.
I was gonna say what Frankie does during the summer is he combs his hair. That is his activity.
This is the one thing I'm most disappointed about this spread. It's like the one person who's always in a Speedo, we don't get to see his body.
So, I guess this is the first time we've seen a One Piece beer, right? The brand of beer that they drink in One Piece. Wild Blue? I'm guessing that is beer.
Well, you
Could
can't
be an energy drink.
It's like Blue Moon, Wild's Blue Moon.
Okay, I
Blue,
refuse.
guys? Pepsi Blue?
I refuse to believe that is an energy drink.
I assumed it was beer.
Well,
yeah, beer and Shiska Pop. That makes sense.
Wild Blue energy drink. Pump it into your veins or whatever you do with energy drink.
You drink it, Zach. Don't pump that into your veins, kids.
Oh, that explains a lot.
There's a lot of squids around.
Yeah.
Tanji's looking cool.
Well, he always is. Anything else? Otherwise, we could probably move on.
All right.
Okay, what's happening on the first page, Ed?
The top knot falls to the ground, and the hair unfurls with a thump. And everyone is shocked by this. Look at Urashima. Not only did that woman reject him, she cut off his top knot. He's about to cry. How pathetic.
Serves him right.
Yeah.
Well, for what? For both prospectively and retrospectively.
No, for eating that raccoon.
Well, we don't know if that happened. We just assume it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Not much happened on that page, so we'll go to the next page as Urashima yells, "Okiku, you betrayed me!" And you see the floating. What is that called again? The top ring thing. I forget.
It has a name. I don't think we mentioned.
It's the shrine. It's the little shrine.
It's the little shrine. Is that the technical term for it?
No.
Anyway, he looks like he's about to go Super Saiyan there, as he is furious as to what happened there. And God, look at the terrifying shading in that second panel. That is, I agree with the reactions. Yeah. He's got the face of some demon god, remarks one of the spectators who looks like they have a horn, so I'm assuming that's a gifter of some sort.
He looks like an Oni himself.
Yeah, he's not so attractive himself. Anyway, Okiku realizes, oh no, what have I done in front of so many people? And asks for mercy here as Urashima prepares his attack that we saw. I presume this is the attack we saw the result of in the last chapter with the big fat sumo guy flying. Yeah. As they call it the far bank slap, which I assume sends you to the far bank of the river or something along those lines. Or of the river Styx. Let's say that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The Buddhist equivalent of that.
What is the Buddhist equivalent of the river Styx?
Sanzu. It's the Sanzu River.
Okay. Good to know. I'm guessing that's the one in Yu Yu Hakusho that they go on. Anyway,
yeah.
I don't know. So Okiku looks fake shocked here. That's what I would call that. And we zoom into Urashima's eyes as he declares that the inferior lowborn must die here. And Luffy gears up his not literal, well maybe literally gum attack here. And what do we got going on next, Brian?
And we got Luffy pulling a sumo slap with a slightly enlarged version of Gear 3, I guess. It's not, the Gear 3 isn't large.
I think it's
version of his hand.
Yeah, I think it's a slightly
it's a miniature
deflated,
version.
Yeah, like a...
Yeah. And like this panel is great because you can see how Urashima is like pushing all his effort into that slap, but barely budging an inch against Luffy, which perfectly cuts in the middle of the panel, and essentially defending Okiku. And then we got, and then they like break apart violently, and they both wind up at the edge of the ring with their toes on, going whoa, 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 as they like spin their arms cartoonishly to kind of like propel themselves forward, and so that they don't fall backward. And everyone's like suddenly engaged, like Yokozuna, who is that guy? And then hold firm, Yokozuna, and like we can see Urishima's like little tiny tippy toes are barely holding on to the edge of that ring. And then Luffy in the similar panel is also like whoa, 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 and like spinning his arms cartoonishly to hold on to the edge of that ring. And they're like,
Aloha Luffy.
Yeah, Aloha Luffy.
By the way, for some terminology, since we were talking about it and I forgot it, it's the doyo, the thing at the top.
The doyo? No, the doyo is the clay that they stand on.
Oh, so what's
that's kind of like made out of straw, right?
Tawara is the thing, the rice straw bales on the side.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. The clay is the doyo. What the hell?
Yeah.
I'll find this.
So they're basically right on the edge of that Tawara.
Tawara, yeah.
Tawara, yeah.
Tawara.
I'll make us not pronounce things right this entire
Thank you,
podcast.
Zach. This is your fault. But you get a nice close up, and they're both like holding on, and then like Okiku's finally like pep talk to Luffy. Is like, "You can do it, Luffy Taro!" And then as they both like land in the middle of the ring, and everyone's like super pumped up and goes, "Yeah, they're still in it!" And like crowd goes wild. All of a sudden, it becomes an actual match.
That's really cool. Yeah.
I love this page. Just like the genius of like the totally spontaneous, like, oh, get your tippy toes, like stay in the ring, you can do it, and then everyone just recognizes it's like it's so natural, like, oh yeah, now they're sumo wrestling.
For those who want more, inane knowledge, it is a Suryane. That seems, I believe that's correct.
Okay,
maybe?
Yane is Ruth, so yes.
Okay, so that sounds more correct. Okay, so why don't we move on, Sam?
All right, next page. Urashima is saying, "Who are you to Okiku? And what did you just do to my slap? Get out of my way! I've got to smash Okiku to pieces, or my honor is lost." And Okiku, I assume she's got lots of thoughts going on in her head about what honor is supposed to be. And Luffy he's stomping his feet like a sumo wrestler. He's like, "Okay, sure. You can do whatever you want if you can beat me." And Urashima is surprised, and we get a good full body shot of Luffy's like very enthusiastic sumo pose. "Let's sumo wrestle. Watch out. I'm good at sumo." And we learn what he means by that in this little text box that says, sumo wannabe and pirate Luffy no Umi, record undefeated versus Usopp. Is that like is that the only straw hat he sumo wrestles with? Or
I guess I would guess that means that no one else bothers to do this. Usopp's the only one who finds.
Well, actually,
I hope not.
But it's also when you come to the ring in sumo, they list the last 5 matches you've had with your opponent. But Luffy has no other opponents, so he's they can't say his record against this guy. So it's just whatever other record he has.
Yeah,
it's very much a sumo name to Luffy no Umi.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to mention that the this sumo match between Luffy and Usopp has been recorded in the anime. There was a special that came out before that was supposed to chronologically take place right before One Piece Film Gold, where Luffy is wearing.
Oh, I remember that.
I think it was Heart of Gold.
No, I don't think it was in Heart of Gold.
Because they're like. Because Luffy's like wearing sumo gear at the beginning of Film Gold, right?
Yes.
Or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a special. I don't know where it aired.
Oh, the Silvermine episodes, I think.
Well, either way, he has. I think he has some sort of costume on that I don't remember the significance of. Tail of Genji, maybe, but either way, he sumo wrestles Usopp and wins. And I think that's a kind of a funny reference to that.
It's kind of sad because you know that like Usopp has his like insecurities about being weaker than the tough guys, And now here it's like, fun fact, Luffy clowns him on the reg.
I don't know. It's since the time skip.
To be fair, he's pretty built on the color spread, so I mean, I think he could hold his own. Yeah.
I want to point out, sorry, just before you continue, Sam, that the Luffy no Umi, which Umi is sea, and this is called a shikona, which is the term for like your sumo wrestler name, because they don't use their it's their stage name. And I think they tend to go through kind of evolutions depending on like how far you got. I want to say that like you maybe get one that's like real simple when you're still a like a student or something like that, or in the stable as they call it. But that once you're like a full-time established wrestler, then you have a fancier one or something like that. So yeah, and Umi means sea, so this is kind of like Luffy. I don't know if I would just translate it directly as like Luffy of the sea or sea Luffy or something like that, but the association is there.
Swashbuckling Luffy.
Oh yeah.
There's also, I mean, like there was a current sumo wrestler named Okinoumi, and he's from Shimane, which is in the far western coast of Japan. So he's a coastal guy. He's from the sea.
Coastal Luffy. What a terrible name. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, so the onlookers in the crowd, they're laughing. They're like, "Oh, what's wrong with this kid? He's gonna get himself killed." And Urashima is saying, "Get out of my way." And then I'm gonna need some help on the pronunciation of whatever this word is.
Bodhisattva.
Bodhisattva.
Yeah.
Is that like?
It has to do with Buddhism. It's a Buddhist symbol.
Yeah, it's like the what do they call it? The Kannon Buddha is the 1,000-arm Buddha.
Oh,
the one who is often shown with all the arms in the statue, and so that's kind of what he's mimicking.
The is it E Honda in Street Fighter?
Yes.
Yeah.
The 1,000-hand slap.
Yes. So Luffy's dodging all these hands with ease. It looks like he's just like having a fun time.
You see him put his fists on his hips and like mock him.
Yeah,
one of those. Yeah.
I like the one where he's like diving backwards in the air.
Yeah.
Grant has been posting pictures from earlier in the manga, and there was a very similar manga panel he posted, I think, like the other day, from Skypiea of Luffy jumping up and down on the clouds, almost in the same way, kind of showing that action in one panel is, kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it also reminded me of what's it, Gum Gum Dum Dum, when he turns off his brain and is able to kind of mimic mantra.
Yeah. Except a little smarter than that.
Right.
So the crowd is warming up to Luffy, it seems. This guy's slippery. He's dodging all of Urashima's slaps. Bahaha, hang in there, little guy. You're not going to win just by running. And then that's when Urashima slaps. He claps, and it's the ear splitter, and it's really loud, so Luffy has to cover his ears. And then it's the eye splitter, and Luffy is astonished, like, hey, isn't that against the rules?
I'm not sure if Luffy's covering his ears as is. He's got his arms crossed and he's dodging.
Yeah, because if he hit him on both sides, either that would break his eardrums.
Break his eardrum.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's funny that Luffy the pirate cares about rules,
or that he knows what they are.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, he's a sumo wannabe, so
I don't even know how he knows what sumo is. Since Wano's cut. Best not to think about these things.
Yeah. Also, if Urashima had actually watched, the Three Stooges, he would know you're supposed to use both index fingers.
Yeah.
To poke the eyes out. Not. It's easy to defend that way. So on the next page, Luffy assumes more of a kabuki pose here, as he confidently states that, I can handle it anyways. And he is stretching his arm back into the distance. You can't even see his hand, but he's got the yo sound effect.
He's like bouncing up in the air at the time too.
Yeah, he's doing the full sort of Gear 4 style kabuki look.
Is the octopus around? Is that?
No, I think in spirit.
Yeah.
And Urashima seems shocked by what he's seeing, but we don't find out what it is right away because we cut to what would appear to be Hold'em's mansion here, as someone is trying to tell him that a woman cut the Yokozuna's top knot off, and it's a huge scene. And we see Hold'em. He's got his little pincher pliers, which actually look a lot like his his Comedy Central Capsule Corp tattoos. So maybe that was a design element, intentional design element. And he is pulling on poor little Otama's cheek, and he's turning around to this subordinate. He's like, why are you telling that to me? What do you expect me to do? I'm busy right now. I'm busy ripping this kid's cheek off.
So the layout on this page is super interesting. Like, it's way more vertical than you normally see on like a single page like this.
Yeah, the right page here.
I have a theory on this, because what happens following. I assume this is kind of Oda suggesting that these things are happening really on top of each other, like simultaneously.
Yeah, I think that's true. And he probably also was just like, hey, I want to put a really good, vertical shot of Luffy doing a full pose here, and then he kind of decided to run with that.
Just doesn't feel like it's a not very Oda style layout, I don't think.
Yeah, he's definitely more horizontal. Hold'em is he's too busy tormenting a poor little kid to deal with the actual part of his job. In the meantime, the lion is just kind of futilely waving his paws at nothing. Poor Tama is, crying that it, hurts really bad, and have mercy. I'll give the baboon back. Just stop pulling on me. And
I didn't realize he had the tail too. Hold'em.
Yeah, he's got the big poofy lion tail.
It's like he has a lion growing out of his stomach, like just in his midsection on both sides of him. It's bizarre.
Yeah,
I would hate to see that X-ray.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like he ate a lion and it chewed through his stomach, but he's still alive.
Mm-hmm. So he as he continues tugging on her with the pliers, he says, "From what I hear, you dropped the name Kozuki. Don't go chasing ghosts now. Just stick to the goblins and the ghouls that you're used to." The Kozukis, the Kozukis are the ones who tried to destroy Wano 20 years ago with the clan of evil spirits. That's a new angle to the backstory that I don't think we've heard yet. So
no,
have to see what becomes of that. And then we transition to Law and his crew, where Beppo is apparently dying. And Law is like, I told you not to eat the fish out of the river. Why did you do this now? Like, Law hasn't even stepped in to help Luffy out, and he's already babysitting in this arc. And also, meanwhile, Hawkins is ordering someone who is not replying, who is silent, which I feel like we've seen a few panels of that now. So I'm getting curious now as to whether or not like that means something. Like, is this going to be another character? Like, someone similar to what's his name from the Revolutionaries, Karasu, who doesn't talk or something like that. But he is saying, do not engage the one with the straw hat around his neck. He is far beyond your ability. I'm on my way now.
Wherever he is, he's not that strong. Yeah. Sam.
Yeah, we turn the page, and the onlookers are looking up at Luffy's stretched out arm. His arm is still stretching from the scene before. What is that? And your guess is as good as mine. And then, move it, little one. Okiku has committed an unforgivable act. She spurred the offer to marry into the warrior class and shamed me beyond that. I must crack her head open and make an example of her. I love the big, bold outlines on this Luffy hand here.
Yeah.
Coming out I
love the stupid villagers. What's that? I don't know, I guess good as mine.
Good answer, though. And this kind of, I guess, mirrors the vertical look of the page before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although this is a 2-page spread, so it's a little more in line with what he does.
Yeah.
But yeah. Go ahead.
So Luffy is still, like, his arm is still stretched out, but he's still dodging all of Urashima's attacks. Shut up already. I said you could do whatever you want. I just know you won't be able to beat me. How dare you? I am the greatest sumo wrestler in all of, and then it doesn't really matter what he says after that, because Luffy is the one who's going to be king of the pirates. Gum Gum Giant Sumo Slap. And we get this big sumo slap with Luffy's gear third hand. First, like, gear third hand in a while that I feel like has not had the armament on it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's nice.
It's good spotty. That's good. It's good technique.
And now for the page everyone fought for, Alex.
And all of the looky-loos are getting affected by the force of giant of the giant sumo slap.
The guy on the right.
His double chin. His double chin is over his face.
Yeah. Yeah, I love what Oda always does with cheeks. It never fails to amuse me. And we get this really awesome panel of Urashima's face in between Luffy's two giant fingers. Looks like he's going to miss a couple teeth in the process. Okiku is shocked as Urashima flies into a neighboring castle. And this panel is just super good. You see the force sort of affect the ropes that are hanging on the doyo, showing the movement of Urashima's gigantic body completely demolishing this huge castle. I love it so much. The sound effects are karadadao, which are that's a new one. And of course the spectators are shocked with Tex Avery style mouths. Whoa, Yokozuna! Urashima got completely demolished. It can't be. He would never lose to that shrimpy guy. And
the guy on the right might have one of my favorite shock faces in the series. That is bizarre. The one all the way. Anyway, go ahead.
It's like a fish.
He looks like Jim Carrey, actually. Jim Gee's Ace Ventura, Wano detective.
Okay,
that's true. And we see the ruins. They are smoldering, and
speaking of
everybody's
Three
still
Stooges.
Yeah, everybody's still shocked.
Nice hair.
Yeah, this entire village of Stooges, not the cool Iggy Pop kind though. This guy goes, "Yikes! What? It's him, the guy who sliced up the magistrate." And he points to Zorojuro. And now that Zorojuro has gotten everybody's attention, he gives one of his famous cool Zoro looks and says, "Yeah, so what? Ah! Don't tell me he's in on this too, with that tough swordsman and the sumo kid? Who are these people?"
Swordswoman.
Wait, Jerry Seinfeld's in Wano country?
That's right. Swordswoman, yes. With that tough swordswoman and the sumo kid. And we have a really great I love these Dodon shots. We have a great shot of Okiku in the front, Zorojuro in the middle, and Luffy Taro in the back, who's saying, "Hey, and go get the boss of this town. We're here to take Tama back." It should be noted that is indeed a Dodon versus the Bang Bang that we've been used to for this current arc.
We saw it earlier in this chapter.
Yeah. And we get a watch out, the rebel brigands, as the townspeople run away from these three who are displaying their prowess.
Brian.
Yeah, and then we see a shot of what seems to be possibly a pleasure, a gifter, and a Wano participant go, "Fight him off! Tama's the kid that Master Hold'em got. Take him back if you can."
You have to describe what these three look like, yeah.
Well, one has like a very irregular mouth pattern. There's like a woman with two horns and like a big guy with a slouching forehead. Slouching neck. I don't know what else you could be possibly
the woman has a Sadie Chan.
Yeah, she's got
Sadie. And the guy looks like Treble to me, at least, a little bit.
Yeah.
But obviously they're being led and controlled by Bunnybeard, the pirate. With a fucking bunny face on his beard and like the ears coming out of his shoulders. By far.
Bunny truly is the age.
His name is Playboy. Playboy the bunny.
Bunnybeard is my new podcast with beloved child actor in it.
Devon Sawa.
Yeah.
I don't get that reference.
So
Bunnybeard.
Bunnybeard, clearly the next major villain of the series, and one of the best addition of the Beard families after Brownbeard. What was the most recent one we had? Pinkbeard. Peachbeard. You're right.
Peachbeard. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, hold on, I think we're jumping the gun here. It's either the bunnies or it's either that beard is a bunny or the top of that bunny's head. That Goiter is a grumpy old man.
Ooh, yeah.
So he could just be grumpy Goiter.
No, but
God, I hope Luffy goes through this whole arc doing that.
No, but I mean,
it's like the dress. Is it blue? Is it gold?
Oh God.
No. Well, I'm gonna.
Is that a Goiter or is that a beard?
I'm gonna end this argument right now because Gifter, if it's like Hold'em, then his beard obviously evolved into a bunny. Because I don't think the lion is what started out on Hold'em. I think it was the weird looking guy.
It's still like a giant bunny if that's the case. Maybe like a
exactly.
Yeah, maybe he's just like a bunny aficionado and just like that's his like tattoo on or not tattoo. That's just kind of like the way he designed his beard.
Yeah, I mean,
where did the
like,
ears come from, Brian? Where did the ears come from?
No, it's sculpted beard. It's like a reverse Chester A. Arthur. It's coming out of his head.
No, this guy's totally related to that guy from Buggy's crew.
The
lion tamer.
Moji.
Yeah.
Why does the guy have horns though? Too. That's the weird part.
He's got to be a gifter.
They look like antennae. How long can we talk about this one guy on this manga recap? Is the real question.
Minutes.
I'm positive we could.
Yeah. And then so we got all the rubs and stooges all about the head for Zoro, Luffy, and gang, and then Okiku goes, "What should this one do?" And Zoro, slightly annoyed, I think, goes, "Don't play coy. You don't need my help." And her little like shocked kind of like repressed face, like I don't know what she's thinking right now, but I think Zoro's kind of hip to her game right now. It's like, woman, you're strong. Don't fake it. And then the next panel is a great panel of Luffy doing a jump kick towards what looks like one of Kaido's men. He goes, "Get out here right now!" And then referring to whoever's the master of this town. Okiku and Zoro in the background continue their conversation. She goes, should we fight? And he's like, "Cut him up if you actually want to save the kid." And she's like, this rallies her instantly. She's like, "Yes, she must be saved. Just hang on, Otama." And she slices through what I assume is a pleasure because he's one of Kaido's men. He's getting sliced in the throat and he's smiling. And I can't wait to find out why that is the case. We have these weird like henchmen who enjoy to get hurt. And then we have a following panel where this is actually next to the panel that Alex stole, is the shot of Zoro like flying through the air and slicing up everyone's swords like a god demon. He's like, if you don't bring him out soon, we're gonna wipe all of you out. And they're like, block. Zoro, Luffy grabs one of the henchmen. He's like, what's your boss's name? And this guy's barely conscious. He goes, and Luffy, of course, misunderstanding, goes, "Get out here, Baldy Boom." if you even touch Tama, you're gonna get it. It's like, "Look out, there's fire, call the firefighters." The townmen like flee from the center of the town as all this chaos goes, and then we hear a figure from a distance on top of a rooftop goes, "Right here, boy. And my name is Hold'em." And we see like Luffy responds to that call.
He should have just said, "And my name is Baldy Boo."
No, wait,
Hold'em. Hold'em nuts.
Oh yeah.
I'm not writing that one down.
No.
Come on.
Look, I can't make Maddie draw that.
Yeah,
Can't make her, but if she wants to.
He's very serious.
Maybe it'll just be Hold'em holding a bag of chestnuts. Go ahead.
No. Okay. Oh, Master Hold'em, yay! The crowd is very excited. And if he very accusatorily says, "You decided to show yourself." And because he's Hold'em, I'll give him like a Texas accent, I guess. "I didn't have much of a choice. You sumo wrestled my house to the ground. And so full body picture of him with Otama inside the lion's mouth as he yells at Luffy, and the lion has this like wall-eyed look on his face. He's just staring.
It took me the longest time to even notice Tama was in that lion's mouth. Like I probably read this. It probably took me like a full 15-30 seconds.
Yeah. But Luffy and crew are shocked by this, and he continues. Urashima came flying out of nowhere and demolished my building. Who are you people, and where do you come from? You're bold enough to fight back against us, and I assume you must be followers of the thief named Shutenmaru. It sounds like you want this kid back. Well, don't move. I can crush her in my jaws at any moment. And Tama calls out for Big Bro, and Luffy, not really paying attention, says, his tummy's a lion.
He's in Hank Venture mode. His tummy's a lion.
I love how understated that panel is. It's probably one of my favorite of this chapter. It's just like matter of fact, like his tummy's a lion.
Yeah. Well, his face isn't beard and his legs aren't swords, so he's got to deal with what
his
you got.
face is beard.
Tummy is lion.
His tummy is lion.
His tummy is lion. Yeah. So we sort of move to outside of Bakura town, and someone's riding in on what appears to be some sort of deer spirit. A Kirin, perhaps. That's Hawkins? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can tell by the blonde hair, yeah. And it's is that Shachi, I think? He's telling Law that Captain Hawkins is at the gate. There's a fire in the town. And oh god. Law is having like he's already having like gag reactions. Everything with Law. Law is exasperated this entire chapter.
He just got into this arc.
I think Alex's wish came true here.
Yeah. Beppo implores him, don't leave me behind, Captain. And we get like a 4-panel thing of all the characters here. Luffy says, I'm going to save you now, Tama. And Holden's like, I have no intention of giving her back, you fool. And Hawkins is kind of like the villain version of Law at this point. He looks concerned.
That's his catchphrase. It is ... exclamation point, exclamation point. No, that's Law. I'll be in my room is Law's catchphrase. Yeah, that's
and we'll pieces off next week. So.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll have lots of stuff for you guys next week. But first, before we talk about that, Alex, I know you got to take off. So, what did you think about this chapter?
Yeah, this was fun. Things are really starting to ramp up. It's good to see. Good to see some action finally happening in this arc, and this is Luffy's second Oda box in this arc. I wonder how many more we're going to get before it's done.
How many aliases?
We'll have a lot of collectible cards for the favorite card set for him.
Yeah, I love how quickly he took out Urashima. I was worried that was going to be the whole chapter. Oda's pacing throughout this arc so far is top notch. I think he definitely learned a thing since the dreaded Dressrosa. I'm very, very much looking forward to the next chapter, seeing all of these characters collide. Yeah, nothing more than that. You guys will probably expound more than I will, but I gotta attend a barbecue. So,
is it barbecue
or should I
time?
say it's barbecue time?
Sorry, I stepped over your joke. Yeah, thanks for coming, Alex.
No problem.
Bye. Are you literally leaving the microphone on?
He's going. He's like, bye.
Does he know he has to turn that off? Okay, Steven, what did you think?
Oh man. In my opinion, I think this is the best chapter of Wano so far. It's funny because like if you kind of look at this from a perspective of like what is like directly moving the plot forward and what is kind of indirectly moving the plot forward, this would be the latter, because when like Urashima is kind of like a third party in this arc. He's a local. He's like the White Berets or something, from Skypiea or something. He's not affiliated with the bad guy. He's just kind of this person that they interact with.
Well, he was connected to. He had that mouse smile dude.
Yeah, that's true. But he's a local. I mean, he's not like working for Kaido.
I mean,
he's not.
The White Berets is a good example because they worked for Inaru, but they clearly weren't like a part of his gang.
Right. And so you wouldn't when Urashima was introduced, it wasn't like, okay, well, here's, this is like fodder guy number 2C that, Luffy, that Straw Hats are going to have to get rid of before they can move up to the next highest, rank of sub-villains in this arc sort of thing. So in a way, this is kind of like a detour. But I think this is the exact sort of thing. Like this is the sort of detour, like the kind of trip to smell the flowers of having this really silly and entertaining sumo match. That like this is like what this is the part that you're supposed to enjoy, that you're supposed to think back on and be like, oh man, remember when Luffy had that silly like sumo and he did the giant, the gigant sumo slap and just completely demolished this huge sumo wrestler. And it wasn't really like part of beating the big bad guy in the arc. So I really loved it. I thought, the art was top notch. It was super entertaining. Although it's not exactly the same, it's not necessarily fair to completely to compare them because they're very different situations. But I will just say, I thought the panel of Luffy taking out Urashima with his giant hand was probably more exhilarating and fun than like any part of the Katakuri fight that he did before this. So yeah, I just thought it was super fun. I think the story's really about to kick into high gear now that especially with kind of the way that this chapter ends with like, okay, now there's several characters who are all kind of converging, or that the profile of activities that they're doing here in Wano is rapidly going to balloon up and get kind of everything else involved. But it was just I think pure entertainment chapter. I loved it. I loved that I got to use sumo wrestle as a transitive verb, that they sumo wrestled his house to the ground. That was fun. And I guess one last thing, Shuten Maru, the thief, I think people have pointed out that in Japanese folklore, there is kind of one of the famous Oni is named Shuten Doji. And the characters are like, well, it depends on, there are multiple ways you could write it. But in the One Piece scene, Shu is sake or alcohol, and Ten means heaven. And Maru is just kind of a generic name ending. But Shuten Doji is like, one of the most fearsome Oni. And he there's the story involves like a hero who has to go, and like a samurai who has to go and vanquish him and his 4 followers. Given that this Shuten Maru is depicted as, also kind of being a rival faction to Kaido's forces, and, could presumably be a good guy or potentially an ally, that would seem to kind of turn that on its head, the original fairy tale, but we'll see how much that is connected. So that's interesting. We didn't get a lot of follow up on that, so I guess Otis is kind of teasing us with some foreshadowing there.
Cool.
That's it.
Okay, Sam.
Yeah, I love this chapter. Like each chapter in Wano, or not in Wano, but like as of like the Urashima stuff has just been better than the last. I love how this chapter really kind of indulges the power fantasy element of shonen. Like Luffy and the Straw Hats, they're like often stronger than most people that they are put up against. But it's been a long time since they really made that like the thing that's fun about the story. Like when things are kind of stacking up, like Luffy's beating Urashima. They're announcing that Zoro's the guy who killed who took down the magistrate, and Okiku seems like she's about to do something awesome. Like that, you really get excited. You really get excited for like how like outsiders are going to see these crazy people do their thing. And Okiku, just keeps getting more interesting to me. Like at the beginning of the chapter, I was worried that she was just kind of she was going to fall back into she was going to fall to the background a lot easier than I would have liked. But then you get that moment with Zoro where it's like he recognizes that she is very strong and she's trying to hide that, I guess. And I love this whole idea that like Okiku, it's almost like she's trying to blend in. She's trying to be like a regular local, but she's like terrible at it. She stands out. She's so tall and she talks like a samurai and she cuts people's top knots off for honor. And she's like trying to be a nobody, but she's bad at it. I think that's great. And I'm really excited to find out what happens next, especially with that last page and seeing all those big guys on the bottom there.
Yeah, Okiku kind of hides as well as Luffy does. When you think about it. Who else? Ed.
Oh
yeah. Well, yeah, go first. Sorry.
Sure. There's a lot of gags in this episode, this chapter. I thought it was hilarious. I especially like Hold'em. He's sort of doing this like overreaction. Like the sumo match is it's so over the top, and we get this. It's the dynamic with Luffy. Sort of he steps in for Okiku, like to fight on her behalf, but also she is required to fight for herself by the end of the chapter. So I mean, it is kind of like where he's stepping in for her, but she's also standing up for herself because she is very strong. And there's definitely something being hidden there with like who she actually is, or who I don't know what to say related to, or who she used to work for before. But it's been 20 years and she doesn't seem to be that old. So it's not like she was a samurai under Odin or anything 20 years ago. That would make sense. But yeah, other than that, I enjoyed this chapter a lot. Luffy being really goofy is always great. Yeah, and the sumo slap, it looks it makes Gear Third look like almost human, because it's all just, as someone said, it was the all hawkified, all like black limb, like iron and stuff like that. Yeah, I was enjoying it very much. And with Law and Hawkins kind of fulfilling the same roles as I was saying of exasperated. They're just exasperated.
Bryan.
Yeah, every panel, not every panel, but like every page of this chapter is magnificent in a lot of ways. I also counted that we're back to 19 pages for this one, which we haven't had in a while. Oda usually does 17 pages, so he clearly had a lot he wanted to accomplish with this chapter, and I would say he succeeded. From like Orishima's like sad and demonic faces, and even like just the mixture of the crowd with like Kaido's forces mixed in with the people of Wano, all very, very good and very interesting. Okiku kind of like trying to disappear into like a more like not subservient, but just kind of like, oh, this one didn't mean to like cut the top knot. It's like, yes, you did. Stop playing. And then and Luffy cutting in, and now we got like instant sumo match with that first hand slap, and them trying to maintain the comedy of them maintaining the ring. Luffy announcing his sumo record, or at least with the Oda box, 100 hand slaps. I mean, this is one of those chapters which will. I noticed something about the Wano pacing. Alex mentioned before he left it how quickly it's moving. For some reason, I think these chapters come off to me more like a comedy than even the adventure or even the action part of it, where it's just this kind of like series of kind of like just random events. I think that kind of revolves the fact that we're mainly following Luffy and Zoro right now. And like, since there's no sense of danger because we know Luffy can just about handle any opponent thrown at him outside of like major figures we've been set up to, like Kaido. He's the only one we have in doubt right now. And Zoro's also like someone who can handle most opponents thrown his way. It's like we're just running into scenarios was like, you guys know you can handle this fight, right? Why are we messing around with like these kind of like lowbrow forces? Because unless Hold'em has some ridiculous ability we haven't really been privy to at this point, this is also probably going to be like a joke fight of some sort. Also, I noticed we didn't point out how when that final shot of Orochima, when he's like laid out after Luffy sends him packing, if you notice, the wound across his body is also the same wound. It's basically Luffy's handprint, like a giant handprint across his entire body. I thought that was great. And yeah, that one panel with the three of them, Okiku, Zoro, and Luffy is. I remember I turned the page and saw that. I was just like, "What are you doing, Oda? That's amazing. I want that. I want that instantly as a spread or wallpaper if I could have it." And yeah, even like the flow of the panel and the action sequence that follows, and then having the four kind of major figures so far this arc with Law, Luffy, Hodum, and Hawkins all leading to a single location. I imagine, like, if Zoro and Luffy were trying to hide and not really cause a disturbance yet, this is basically Oda's way of saying, like, the damage is done. Everything's going to explode, and it's all like Luffy's fault as usual. So I thought this chapter was fantastic. So,
well, it's also clearly still important that Zoro was the one who killed the magistrate or cut the magistrate.
Yeah, I
Seriously
imagine.
harmed.
Yeah, I imagine we'll get more of that later. Like once we move into like the larger town of Wano.
What did they call it? Did they give it a name? The larger town?
I think it had a name, like Flower City.
Yeah, the flower capital is all they've called it.
Yeah, the chrysanthemum capital, maybe.
I also wonder. Oh, I got a couple of things. So, I wonder if you remember like Hiruluk mentioning that he went to an island with like Sakura, and that was supposedly like the miracle cure that healed him of his illness. I wonder if he traveled to Wano at some point. I think that's always been speculated.
Yeah, we've definitely mentioned that on the show before.
Yeah, and I also wonder if the fact that Holden's referring to Odin, the Kazuki clan, as like monsters or demons that want to destroy Wano. I imagine, and this is probably fairly obvious, that he might be referring to the fact that Odin wanted to integrate Wano into the larger society and like kind of break down their isolationism. And I'm sure that's what he might be referring to, them wanting to destroy the country, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Evil spirits is an interesting. I mean, is there any Japanese kind of anything with what they were called in Japanese that might shed some
No,
light?
I mean that's just kind of how I say it's. I guess you'd say that it is suggesting that I don't know, like dehumanizing them even further. So it's not like just they were bad people, but they were like they were like cursed
monsters,
people.
devils.
Yeah.
They're like those devils. They tried to like break down like Wano traditions. How dare they? That kind of thing.
Right.
I'm sure.
Yeah. That subplot is interesting because it's like what. Like, were they framed for something, or are they actually were they historically on the wrong side of history?
I mean, I think it's going to be the forefront plot when we get to things, at the end of the day here. But
yeah, I'm just a little concerned that that's going to come across as a bit of a retread of Dressrosa again, of like here's the old family, and then there's the new guy that came along.
Prepare for that.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I'd like to think that he has more of a wrinkle in the formula, but
well, Odin was a daimyo, so he wasn't shogun at any point in time. So it wasn't like quite what.
But they also said that the Kozuki clan ruled Wano in the previous chapter. So
okay,
yeah,
I stand corrected.
It's a little fuzzy right now, I think.
I'll go through just a couple little things that haven't been pointed out. With the color spread, I did not notice the squid hiding out, and I assume being cooked in one of the panels.
There's squid all over that.
Yeah,
all over that.
Lots of squid. And just to go through the chapter itself, I agree with Steven. This is definitely my favorite chapter so far in Wano. Maybe tied or second with when they enter with all the cool stuff. I really like that chapter as well. But this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this. Every part of this chapter. A couple little things I guess I just want to point out. First, I like that Urashima gets beat in the same way that other sumo guy did last chapter. We see him laying on the ground with a giant handprint on him from Luffy at the very end. I really enjoy, and this was mentioned, I think Bryan mentioned this, just how all the different disparate forces that we've seen so far in this very short arc so far come together at the end here, because it has, I think my one complaint about Wano is this is just because we're at the beginning, it's felt very chaotic so far to me. Like, a lot of different things are happening at the same time. So, which is not, a knock on it necessarily, but as a reader, I'm like, it leaves you kind of in the lurch, which I think you're. It's
interesting. Like, there's a lot of stories that we aren't seeing, but we've been going with this story for like the last 4 or 5 chapters, haven't we?
Yeah, but there's a lot of things also happening in the background and a lot of movement. I mean, we haven't stayed in one place for more than a chapter until this chapter.
Yeah, the storytelling of this arc, even with these 5 to 6 chapters, has been very irregular.
Yeah, this is not Oda's. Yeah, this is not Oda's typical thing. Which is not to knock it. It's just not disconcerting. It's just, it feels different. It feels like a little uncomfortable almost. I don't know quite how to put it. Until I it's like when you put shoes on for the first time and they don't quite fit you right and you get a cut from it or whatever.
That's how I feel like it feels like he's doing more of a comedy or some kind of satire. Like, I was telling a friend, like, I'm sure most of us here have seen like Yojimbo and Sanjuro, and how like Yojimbo's kind of like a typical more like action flair. And it involves the same character in the same world, but when you watch Sanjuro, it's definitely presented more as a comedy. Same director, same characters, but the way the situations unfold give you a different read of how this like world operates.
One other cool, like his sword, Hold'em's sword is pretty awesome. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. It's very different from anything I feel like we've seen, certainly in Wano.
Hold'em looks like he's a member of KISS.
Sure. Definitely some sort of like 80s hair metal maybe thing. But I think at the end of the day, we could all agree that the star of this chapter was Bunnybeard. Yeah, without a doubt. So, any other final thoughts? It sounds like a no.
I like that Luffy brought his sword into the sumo ring.
Yeah. No one commented on that. Yeah, that was a funny little thing. But he did take his, like, the top part, his shirt off, because he's like, well, I can't have that on if I'm, I can have my sword on, that's fine.
And he pulled his sword out in order to kick the other guy in the face after when they were fighting.
Yeah. I mean, he can't leave the top part of his robe on, because then it's tactical. The sumo could grab it and use it.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. He's thinking tactically. Anyway, that's going to do it for the manga recap. Let's get into the next segment.
Sure.
Okay. All right. This is the anime recap for episode 852. A hard battle starts. Luffy versus Katakuri. I'm your host Sam, and today with me we have, once again, Ed.
Thank you. That's a very spirited introduction.
And joining us today as well, once again, we have Bryan Newton.
Hola.
Right off the bat, I want to point out that the title, Hard Battle Starts, Luffy versus Katakuri, very misleading, I think.
I don't know. They do a bunch of battles.
The fight started a few episodes ago, and most of the episode is not... Because I was very confused by the next episode preview from last week, where all of the preview was just Luffy versus Katakuri. I'm like, aren't we supposed to be getting to like the Sweets Factory already? But I think they're like trying to advertise the thing people are here for.
Well, I mean, next episode previews. I'll just say this about next episode previews. I was watching I bought the Dragon boxes yesterday, used for a ridiculously low price. Anyway, the first disc I popped in was the end of what was originally dubbed Season 2, the Raccoon episodes. And the episode before Goku arrives on Planet Namek, the next episode preview, is all about him stepping off of that spaceship. And that does not happen until the 22nd minute of the next episode. So that's just how these next episode previews work.
Yeah, you can't bury the lead. You gotta keep them on the hook for what's coming.
Right. So like
DBZ was the Wild West for Toei bullshit, I think.
Yeah, it was kind of a pioneer. Anyway, back to One Piece.
Yeah. To my surprise, this episode opens with a cold open. There's barely any recap at all this week. Where a little bit of the end of last week's episode, but most of this opening sequence is the elephant gun versus Katakuri's imitation of the elephant gun, and Katakuri's just sort of he's bragging, he's punching, he's got a much bigger fist than Luffy's. He knocks Luffy away, and he's like, "Oh, is that how you do it? Is that your elephant gun?"
He's very it's almost funny. Like, the cold open is funny sometimes. Like, well, mine's bigger, and they do the joke like 3-4 times, and I don't know. I think it works.
I thought it was brilliant. This cold open's everything I wanted from the previous episode.
Yeah. And then that's when the actual opening song starts, and then the proper title card begins at 5 minutes and 28 seconds. So the fight keeps going, and now it's kind of more of the same, where now it's Luffy, instead of the elephant gun, it's his Grizzly Magnum. That's what he used to beat Caesar Clown. But Katakuri can keep up. He's got his own version of the Grizzly Magnum that's a lot bigger and a lot stronger.
I thought this was all very well animated. Well, the Katakuri versus Luffy stuff was well animated, at least.
I thought this whole episode was awesome.
I mean, it really only stuck out to me during the fighting, but the rest of it, I mean, I didn't notice anything that was bad.
Yeah. So now Luffy's got his giant axe. He's still in sort of Gear 3rd mode, and for a second it looks like he's hit Katakuri, but then Katakuri is behind him with an even bigger foot. This is somebody's fetish, I'm sure.
Quentin Tarantino directed an episode of One Piece.
Right.
So he axe kicks Luffy with a giant foot, and knocks Luffy into a crater, and he's doing that. I saw this joke going around. It's Luffy got Yamcha'd.
Yeah, I can see that. There isn't actually a crater, though. It's just sort of a broken floor.
Well, I'm actually going to keep track of this, because the thing that anime productions usually do to keep the fights like more interesting is kind of like heighten the just like the destruction and the chaos that's caused. Because those of us who've read the manga, we know the crater that's ultimately going to appear from this. So I'm going to make sure, don't do a crater bigger than the final crater. That's all I gotta say.
Meanwhile, back at the farm, we've got Pudding, and she's cuffing Chiffon. They've got this whole plan where they're going to get Chiffon into the sweets factory by disarming her, like making sure she's not a threat, and then blaming all of her actions on Bedge. But Pudding can't help but to be like peeking around Chiffon and like looking at Sanji and like making these goofy reaction faces when he looks back at her. And I love Chiffon's just like she's so uncomfortable, like having to sit between Pudding and Sanji. Sanji smiles at her. She goes goo goo, and then she's asking Sanji to get up into the role of Rabian, just like Pudding was hiding in last week, so that they can sneak him in. So Pudding and Chiffon are descending onto Chocolate Town. The locals are, they love Pudding. They're like, yes, you're so beautiful in your wedding dress, all that stuff.
They're very supportive. There was the bear with the turban was in this episode.
Yeah. She's explaining the whole Chiffon situation. Sanji is hiding inside the carpet, but the dogs get a whiff of him. They're curious about what's inside the carpet, and there's just a lot of really great, funny reactions to stuff in this episode. But Pudding distracts them. They're like, "Oh no, have the chefs arrived?" And so the Whole Cake Island 31 have arrived on Cacao Island, waiting for Pudding and Chiffon to arrive. And we come back to the mirror world, where Katakuri and like Brule and all them, they're looking down on Luffy, who's still beaten up and weak. And Katakuri is talking to Parasparrow on the transponder snail. They're sort of catching each other up on what's been happening. We come back to Chocolate Town. Pudding is assuring the people that they're not going to let Mama destroy Toto Land. And I like how they're playing one of the I think it's We Did It Party. It's one of the We Are melody tracks. which I always love to hear.
Yeah.
So then there's this whole sequence where they have to let the 31 chefs into the kitchen like one at a time, so Pudding can manipulate their memories so that they can work with Sanji and not think anything's weird.
Yeah, Pudding's ability. Well, doesn't have to make a lot of sense. But she's very funny in this episode.
Yeah, so while he was wrapped up in the carpet, Sanji has been working on a recipe and blueprints for the new cake. He's sharing them with Chiffon while Pudding is working on the chefs, and Chiffon is shocked. It's like this recipe is like really good. How'd you learn how to replicate that cake? And he's just like, oh yeah, I just remembered every ingredient by smell. And Chiffon is like disgustingly amazed.
Mm-hmm.
So we get Pudding in her chef's outfit. Sanji's like hard eyes for that.
Yeah, they're hard eyes for each other all over this episode. That's the source of the humor.
Mm-hmm. It's just like
he makes this face
time.
He makes this face at one point when she's got the ice pack on her head and she's overheating, and he's like, He's just sort of holding his face very neutral in an unnatural position.
That same
recap
face
for that episode.
Yeah, that same face is in the manga as well.
It's just so goofy. So she's explaining what she did to the chef's memories, and then the chefs they're now amazed at what Sanji has cooked up for the recipe, and they're like, you even got the secret ingredient that only Chef Streusen should know. Say that 5 times fast. So Sanji has this moment where he just says hey to Pudding, and Pudding's going just all over. Her mind is going crazy. Like, oh, he said hey to me. Oh, maybe it would be nice to have a husband like that. But first we gotta set the ground rules in this marriage if this is gonna work. And then she's going to evil Pudding and like, just so you know, Sanji, if you do anything, if you tell me what to do, I'm gonna slit your fucking throat or whatever.
If she in this moment she's pointing at Sanji. Do either of you recall if she actually had her middle finger up at this moment?
In the manga, it was her middle finger. Yeah,
thought so.
It looks a little off with her pointer finger.
Yeah,
forgotten about that.
Let's see here. Yeah, and so they're going over the plan. They go into pretty great detail of what their plan is. They're gonna make the unfinished cake. They're gonna actually like bake the breading of it, and then they're gonna take it on a boat, and they're gonna take it to Big Mom. And then while they're doing that, they're gonna decorate it with the frosting and all that. So Pudding's on the chocolate, Chiffon's on the chiffon cake and all that. And Sanji says he has his own secret ingredient that he's going to include. We never got closure on this thing in the manga, I don't think. But he's got a secret ingredient that brings out the ultimate sweetness.
What are you talking about? Of course we do.
We do?
Yeah. Pretty significant. The secret ingredient?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the secret ingredient that brings happiness. And bliss.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, like he talks about that right now, but I don't think that ever comes up again.
Oh my god! Okay, without spoiling anything, you need to reread the end of the volume.
I thought I did. I've read that quite. Okay, whatever. We'll talk.
Okay, we'll talk about it later.
So there's a cool scene back in the mirror world where Katakuri has his back to Luffy. He's like, "Oh yeah, that punk is over." But Luffy is up, and the camera gets it's like that. It's the Rob Lucci thing where Rob Lucci, his back is to Luffy, and he like has this like moment of, oh, he's up, and then the camera like pans over and Luffy's right there. So Katakuri's asking, all right, you've tried speed, you've tried power, I've been able to surpass you on both. What are you gonna do next, huh? What's your plan? And then he sees the future, and he's like, oh, you're just gonna do both at the same time now. Okay, cool. And then so Luffy's got his elephant Gatling. He's going crazy. Katakuri is dodging all of them. And I love this sequence where it looks like some sort of like cosmic horror monster as he's like lifting himself up with his own like mochi limbs. And
yeah,
he's
but like underneath his arms. It's not like he's actually using his actual limbs for it.
Yeah, it's such a interesting look. Like they look like tentacles, basically.
Yeah, I felt like I've seen this in other. I mean, I know I've seen it before. I just can't place what other series or anime or even video game this could have been a reference to.
It feels like Doc Ock lifting himself up, except like a giant.
Totally.
So he's launching with a bunch of fists, and this is like where you really get the benefit of the anime version, where you really see Katakuri is doing a Gatling attack, basically, but he's doing the big fist version of that, and you really get the sense of how much bigger each of his fists are than Luffy, and he's got like dozens of them all punching at once. That looks really cool. And so like the final sequence of the episode is Luffy, he's having a tough time, and in the middle of the action, Brule and Mascarpone and Juscarpone, they're like, oh, hey, guess what? We found another mirror that leads into their ship. And so Luffy he has to worry about trying to smash that mirror so that they can't get through there and mess up with the Thousand Sunny crew. And they're like preparing to launch fire arrows through the mirror. And Luffy is shouting, stop! And that's how the episode ends.
Yeah.
Any general thoughts, you guys?
It was pretty enjoyable. It was just sort of middle of the road as far as the story goes. The story didn't actually like they're starting to make the cake, and Luffy and Katakuri are they're continuing to fight. But it was all generally well executed, I thought.
Yeah, I agree with the story point. The actual animation, the quality of the artwork, I would say it was pretty well done. Like you said earlier, there were no mistakes in this one. I thought generally the boarding and the extra material, because like 80% of the Katakuri versus Luffy stuff in this is not in the manga, and when you consider that the Elephant Gatling is the attack that crushed Hoodie Jones, the fact that like Katakuri can just like dodge it with no problem and delivered even one that's even bigger than Luffy, shattering the glass in the world around it, it's like, okay, we're definitely seeing I would say the hill that Luffy has to climb in this battle.
Difference in power.
Yeah, the difference in power in this arc. But I also want to say that as having, if I remember, the manga ends at a different point than this episode did. If this is the episode where we find out, I won't say anything what's coming, but like them burning the ship with the fire arrows was not the conclusion of the manga. It was actually the event that follows this. Okay, I thought so.
Yeah. I mean,
so they're already padding this as much as they possibly can.
I think this one evens out because it started with like the last couple of pages of the chapter before, so I think it evens out to about a chapter's worth of content. And I felt that was the case. Like I thought this was because the Sanji and Pudding stuff is it's
information
plot based. Yeah, we're explaining how this is going to work. We are setting up this, we're setting up this expectation for how the cake is going to work and how we're going to get it to Big Mom. And we're furthering, like we're getting a clear understanding of how Sanji and Pudding interact with each other at this point in the story.
Right.
Now they're just like friends at this point who like each other a lot.
Yeah, apparently.
And I thought the Luffy versus Katakuri fight is continuing to look really, really good. And I think this is like 5 episodes in a row where the thing that I like the most is that the art pretty much across the board just looks really polished. Like it looks like it's been retouched. It looks like like they've had a chance to do multiple drafts of the characters, and like everything looks nice and bold and clean. And
it might also be how whoever's doing the background design for the Mirror World is like the characters really the characters really pop and blend in a very interesting way. That like when you're looking at black and white, it's stark because you got these checkered patterns. But now they're not black and white checker patterns. They're kind of like a pinkish, purple hue with like Katakuri's like reddish, purplish hair, and then Luffy's like red outfit. It's like it's really nice. And they do, and again, I think you caught this, Sam, too. Like when Luffy's being like destroyed by Katakuri's Gatling, they did another like mirror trick where we're looking at the image of Luffy being crushed from a distance, and then the screen shatters. Thus, again, representing the mirror. So this was even a bigger trick because you don't even recognize you're looking at a mirror until it breaks.
Yeah, that's cool. And yeah, I think that you get a much better sense of how big the mirror world is in the anime, and like how much bigger Katakuri's attacks are compared to Luffy's. Like that is a thing that does not come nearly as well in the manga. So yeah, I was a big fan of this episode. So
it was enjoyable from start to finish.
Yeah, it was solid, super solid. Yeah. I like this one.
I think we can move on to the next segment.
Sure thing.
This is the Piece Together segment where we take your questions, comments, and theories and decide whether it's a Bunnybeard or a grumpy Goiter. No Discord this week, so no Disc Piece this week. But remember, all you have to do is join us on Patreon. I believe it's the $5 tier or up, and you're automatically enrolled in Patreon. And then you go to I think it's the Grand Fleet channel on Discord, post a question, and it will get on the show. That's all you got to do. It's automatic now. So let's get into some emails, Ed.
Email.
We don't have a real song, but I like Ed saying the word.
I just do it with sexy voice, yeah.
Or strong bad voice, which are really interchangeable. Sexy voice and strong bad voice. So first one comes from Sophie and Kendra, who say, hello, we're both longtime listeners and have heard you guys respond to other new podcasters saying to get in touch if they ever need advice. So they're 11 episodes in their My Hero Academia podcast, which I think we talked about when Caleb was on. And they were wondering, how do you manage so many people on the podcast? I assume they don't mean listening. I assume they mean on the show. Yeah, that's sometimes really tough. I think.
Yes, Zach, how do you manage all of us on the podcast?
I try and talk over them. No, I think you need some sort of rapport with the people you have on. I would definitely start out with less people and then build your way up as you feel comfortable. I think, Ed, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we started out with less people, at least in those very early episodes, and then kind of built our way up. There was a lot of slipping and sliding.
I mean, we sort of peaked with the amount of people we were having on the show like 2 or 3 years in, and then we brought it back down.
Well, as a listener from you guys back then, I remember at most like 4 people, tops, maybe 2 or 3.
When we started,
for some of those like, some of the first like Impel Down through the war. It's like 4 of you guys.
I think the amount of people we had on the show peaked in like year 2 or 3 when we tried to have like 10 people on at once. It was terrible.
Yeah, I don't ever recommend that. I think 4 is actually a good amount for most podcasts, and I don't know how we get away with 6. But that is my max. That is the most I will let on. I think I have made exceptions to that once in a blue moon. If we have quieter people, like Sam's not a super loud, rambunctious kind of. He's not like an Alex
Steve.
or a Steve, who will take the room up. And
occasionally you have big loudmouth guests who just are so excited to be here.
Yeah, and those are not bad qualities, but when you have those sort of people, you certainly want less on. So if Alex and Steve are on an episode, I'm going to want to balance them out with quieter people, and vice versa. So there you go. That's I guess the best advice I could give. Steven, do you have anything?
And I think like as far as just kind of learning to have a good flow and to gain like the skills to kind of sense when other people are about to stop talking, so you can insert your comment, and when they're sort of grasping for something, and you need to step in and help fill the silence and stuff like that. Those are just kind of things that you learn through experience and who works well together and stuff like that. You can't really. I don't know that you can actually learn those things just by reading about them or thinking about you just kind of have to do it a lot, and you'll gradually you'll gradually pick up kind of the instincts for stuff like that. So, and obviously, hey, any advice that we're giving about this now, it's up to you to decide how well we do that on this show as well. But I'd like to think that, the years of practice we've learned a few things.
Yeah, I'm surprised that there wasn't a My Hero Academia podcast following like the anime and manga releases already. I was surprised when I saw when they started, and I followed them on Twitter.
Yeah, sorely needed. I think that I mean, usually the number one piece of advice I give podcasters who are like, I want to start a podcast, I'll make one on Game of Thrones. I'll be like, that's great. I'm glad you're passionate about that show, but there are 8,000 of those, and no one's going to listen to you because they don't know who you are. But there are not many, as far as I know. I need to read through My Hero Academia. I'm not caught up with it at all.
I watched the anime. I haven't caught up with the manga.
I need to do that. That's something I intend to do. They're doing a speed up, I think. So I think that's something I'll be able to do soon, hopefully. But when there's a void in, the podcast world, that's the best time to make a podcast for that. For example, there was no, and really is basically, there's still basically no other One Piece podcasts. So step into the void, and there you go. They have no other choice, basically.
Yeah, I think there's kind of an attention vacuum there because YouTube is so big. It's such a big platform to get an audience, and so there's probably a lot of people that just don't think they think, oh, well, if we want to talk about some series or something like that, the only way to get attention or to compete or something like that, like you should kind of just be doing it because you like doing it. I mean, that's ultimately the only way that you're going to last a long time, is if you enjoy what you're doing for the sake of doing it. But
yeah, and I'd also mention, like, there's nothing wrong with making mistakes as well. Like, you learn over time, you get better.
Those early episodes suck for us. Yeah, and since this is our only email for some reason this week, I don't mind talking too long about this. I'd also say how many people to get on a podcast. The best case scenario, and it's impossible for us, unfortunately, is just to have the people in the same room as you or recording in the same place. Unfortunately, we're scattered across the country. When we started, Ed and I were in the same room, and that's the optimal situation.
I actually wonder how because I think they're both British, if I remember correctly. But
no, I think Kendra's not British.
Okay, I just remember one of them had a British accent when I listened to the episode I listened to that I checked out before this. But yeah, it's got to be kind of hard with if like so much of the English speaking fan base isn't necessarily like even close to being on the same time zone or wavelength with you.
Yeah, but that'll happen. I mean, it takes a little while sometimes for a population to kind of move to the most recent stuff. But they'll get there. I mean, I'd still say the majority, believe it or not, and Sam, I'd say the majority of One Piece fans are probably caught up with the anime, but not the manga.
Really?
Because I'm saying this, for example, I have someone at work who's a One Piece fan who is caught up with the anime. And I told him about the manga, which he had heard of manga, but he didn't really know how to catch up on it and did not really know what existed. So I'm like, here's Shonen Jump.
He has a Crunchyroll subscription? Is what
yeah,
he has?
But now he caught up in like a week, and I think, and now he might be listening now, but he's, he's like, I don't think I could go back to the anime now. I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. But I'm like, but you should definitely watch the fights and, watch, some of the big events in the anime, which I think they do well. It's as Sam said.
The anime only watchers in like the Crunchyroll comments are just like so foreign to me. Like I do not understand how you don't just jump to the manga the second you don't have.
I think the word is not quite out there. I think people that's how people consume anime. It's anime. That's how I should, that's what I should do. I should just watch the anime. What else is there to it? I mean, how many of us started, besides Steven, reading the manga?
I did.
Okay.
Technically, because Erica gave me that.
The first volume.
From freshman year of college.
All right. Well, how many of us?
Then I watched 260 anime episodes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like I did not wait till I finished the anime to jump to the manga. Like I jumped to the manga like in Thriller Bark.
Yeah, that's when I jumped to the manga, but that was when that was what the anime was up to at the time. So
yeah, I had the opposite experience where I read all the way, and then once I was done read as far as I could, then I start watching the manga or anime. Sorry.
Yeah, so that turned into a completely different discussion. But what I'm trying to say for the My Hero Academia thing is I think the audience will eventually get there. It's really just like informing your audience, which is a really difficult thing to do. But for the One Piece audience, I know they're a very smart, up-to-date audience. But there's, of course, this casual fan base that doesn't know we exist, obviously, and may not even know, Shonen Jump exists. They may know other sources of manga exist. That there's certainly that, fan base as well. But, not everyone could spend as much time as we do talking about One Piece and reading One Piece. So why don't we talk about the questions on Reddit? What do you got, Steven?
Okay, we'll start with Barack O'Brock, who has a question. If the Color Walk Compendium sells well, do you think we will get more compiling later color walks as well? Well, the good news for you is that they announced 2 of them when they announced the first one. So we already know that there will be 4, 5, and 6 next summer. And that's I just answered this like the other week.
We did talk about this. July?
It should be like Water 7 and Skypiea, late Skypiea, Water 7 through
I think the time skip.
Close to the end of Marineford probably. That should be out. I think they just scheduled them a year apart, so
and I don't think there's enough for a third book as of now.
No.
Yeah.
That's the thing, yeah. So there are 8 volumes out. The most recent one was called Wolf, which we talked about not too long ago. So it'll probably be a little while until there is a 9th one out in Japan. And that is the real question, is like, okay, if the first 2 sell well enough, will they continue with a third one? I'd like to think so, since
it just might take a couple more years. Like,
I mean, the benefit, the benefit of having them be these huge 3-in-1 omnibuses is that, like, the actual process, the work itself, there's only a couple sessions of them that you have to do to get them done and prepared. It's not something that is constantly kind of a drain. Okay, it's another 4 or 5 months. We have to work on another, set aside work for another color walk, mini volume here. So I don't see why it would be a huge deal, but
I have a question. I have a question, Steven. So like, we only have the 2 volumes post the ones that are already planned of the color walks. And this has to do with kind of like Viz and their licensing. Is it that where they're saying like, we are licensed to do the color walks, and we have, like, you obviously can't pre-translate them before they've been released, but you can say, hey, we're already planning to do that. So maybe they can translate the next 2 beyond the first 6 and just have those ready, even if they're not released in the compilation yet. And then when that final one does come out, it comes out in Japan, maybe wait like several months before you guys start translating it. And maybe then you can come out and have a compilation almost right on top of the Japanese release. Is that possible?
Yeah, I mean, hypothetically, I could just start working on it right now, because just on the assumption that it will happen. But the reason that I'm not doing that is A, because I have too much other stuff to do, and also B, you just have to be careful not to burn yourself by working on something that you ultimately turns out you will not get paid for if they don't go through with it.
Yeah, may not see the light of day.
Right. So yeah, I mean, technically that is true, but the other thing is, with the color walk specifically, there's not a ton. I mean, the interview takes a little while, but I think I want to say that it might have been a single day's work, like just working on that alone, to do like the some of them for the next compendium, because I've already done the work for the next one. That stuff's all turned in, and they'll be putting that together in the future. They're just spreading them out because if we do make a third one, it's going to be, as Zach said, the calculation, it won't come out for a while yet, so it doesn't make sense to rush through them.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand like the business behind producing creative content is that you don't like everyone's like, why can't I have everything now? It's like, well, I could give you everything now, but we have like fiscal years, things to continue and a business to run, so we can't just blow our load and then we don't have anything to sell you in a year or for several months. We have to kind of pace it out.
Or, we've got X number of people who buy this. Maybe 10% of them are like, I want the next thing right now. Here's my money. The rest of them are like, oh, I just bought this. I'm good for now.
Can't afford another one. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so you have to be careful. Serpentscape says, do you think Hold'em's lion has a name? Personally, I'm leaning towards him being called Texas. There we go. Great minds think alike.
I agree. Yeah.
My son is still Bort says, hey, OPP, I was wondering if you guys could give me some ideas on where to buy digital copies of the One Piece volumes. I'm not quite sure where to start, and I thought I might put the question to the experts. I'm not sure. Has anyone here actually bought the digital volumes anywhere else than just Viz?
I only have Viz.
But they have Comixology and the bookstore, the Apple bookstore.
The Kindle stuff on Amazon.
I think I bought Volume 1 on Comixology just to see how it looked.
Yeah.
I like the Viz app the most.
Yeah, I think the one thing, I'm not sure what it's like for the other services, but I know that Viz every once in a while will have, sales periods where, especially if you really are, if you're like, okay, I got to catch up on the whole thing. I want to buy as many of these as possible. That's a good thing to.
I think that's.
I tweeted that sale. I tweeted that sale like a month ago, where you were able to buy like all the volumes digitally, but they were also 50% off. So they were like $3 a volume or something.
I did that with other series too. Like I have all of D Gray Man because they had like a crazy sale. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get all of this.
Takes me back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also have a question about the series itself. It's a little early in the arc to be theorizing about how it will end, but I had a quick thought when I rewatched the Doflamingo fight. I don't know if anyone has brought this up before, but it seems to me that Doflamingo versus Luffy was about developing Color of the Supreme King Haki, and Luffy versus Katakuri was about developing Observation Haki. Does anyone think Luffy versus Kaido could be about developing Armament Haki? If so, I'd love to hear your speculations on what that would look like.
That's interesting.
I can see that. I don't know if that's how I interpret the Doflamingo.
Yeah, I
agreed.
mean, I don't think it was developing that. I mean, that was certainly like a plot point since they both had it. Yeah. Right. But that's not how he won.
If anything, I would say Doflamingo versus Luffy is like awakened ability.
Well, that was just introducing that as a concept because Luffy never actually figured it out.
I just attribute all Luffy's kind of like crazy gears as his awakened forms.
Good, I guess. I don't know. It's so vague, right? Like, He doesn't do so many explaining the rules of things type explanations. So,
I agree. That's just my kind of like larger thinking about how like devil fruits operate with different users and such.
Yeah,
but the commenter's dead on about Katakuri versus Luffy, and I could see that being Katakuri versus Kaido as well.
You think he's coming there?
Yeah,
Luffy versus Kaido. Yeah, I mean, it would make sense. I mean, given just kind of based on how Kaido looks and like the physical aspect of his character, that Armament Haki could be a major aspect of that fight. But still pretty far off, I think we can say. Gedef says, with the read-through being reposted, I felt this was the best time to ask. I always had a meaningless theory that Lulu from Gallilaw had eaten the cowlick fruit. That's why no matter what, he always has a cowlick and it pops up in unexpected places. Iceberg even makes a comment at how weird it is. I thought it was a funny possibility and wouldn't put it past Oda to do that. What do you guys think? P.S. I bought the Color Walk Compendium after hearing about it from the podcast and couldn't be happier with it. Awesome.
I still need to buy that.
Shame.
I feel like Lulu, he got dunked in the water at some point. So
yeah, probably.
I think it's just a gag. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Sure.
But if I could see that like being a retrospective thing he does in an SBS. Like if someone asks, if you as a reader, the person who wrote in, sends this in as an SBS and it gets through, Oda would definitely say yes. I'll put it that way. But I don't think he intended that, and I don't think that currently we should assume that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Viva Card, not the concept, but the fan product, those cards do have the devil fruit listed for the characters that have them. So hey, potentially if he's big enough to get his own card, maybe we'll find out.
Look, if Greg's listening and he supports your idea, he could probably push that to happen. So let's
nudge him.
We'll nudge him. If we also support it, I'm kind of that's fine. I have no opinion.
Black Northwind says, poor Tama, now she is experiencing what Luffy had to go through when Porchemi the penis face abducted and tortured him. Yes, Luffy now will learn what it means to be someone's older brother.
I like Porchemi the penis face.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. I mean, the big bro thing is just kind of a generic concept, but like I don't know, I like the idea of like Luffy being Tama's big bro in the way that he's had big brothers.
Yeah, it's nice. Nuwanda the Druid said, I was listening to the read through, and during Thriller Bark you talked about meeting the owners of shadows later on, which made me wonder, was Batman's shadow stolen and put inside of Hilden?
Yes.
I like that.
Sure.
I mean, he is a zombie. He has a number, so.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. There's a very complicated sequence of events there.
Well, it's entirely possible because we know about Kaido and Moria's rivalry. So maybe Moria stole a couple of his men's shadow before he took out.
Ooh, okay, there you go.
That is interesting, and this would be the time for Moria to re-enter the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I see this person has a trivia game too. From now on, Steven could see these. So can everyone else. I would suggest emailing. If anyone has ideas for trivia, emailing is probably the best way to do that, because I'm usually the only one who looks at that. Yeah.
Real quick on the Kaido Moria point. I don't know if I've mentioned this yet, but I think Moria might have been on Kaido's crew for a minute. He's got kind of a similar color scheme, but also horns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can see that.
We'll go to SD Custer, who was listening to the 9 of Swords style episode a couple of weeks late, catching up, and a dumb theory came to mind when you were discussing Emu. Zach mentioned the possibility of the great Emu wearing a nun's habit or cloak.
I think that was Ed's originally, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
go ahead.
What if it is a nun's habit and it was a character we've already seen before? Back in Whiskey Peak, one of the bounty hunters Zoro took down was a nun.
Oh, God.
What?
Yes.
What if she woke up the following morning, saw her fellow bounty hunters all knocked out, then picked up Mr. Nine's crown and started her difficult and harrowing journey to become the Great Emu?
By this same logic, Mother Carmel, if survived and became somehow, and I mean her power got lost, but she survived. Maybe she got pooped out. I don't know if that's how that works. Yeah.
That is how that works.
At some point.
That would be the only way to cure yourself of a devil's fruit. You gotta get shit. You gotta get pooped out.
Why don't devil fruits get pooped out?
We mentioned Ace Ventura earlier on the podcast. It could have been like that.
Great.
Matt, you should draw that as the picture.
Oh, wow.
No.
That was 2, right? That was Ace Ventura.
That was 2, yes.
Yeah.
Which was always on, I'm going to say, like, HBO, because I used to always see that as a kid, and it was always that scene. It was always that scene.
Yeah, always that.
It just makes me uncomfortable thinking about it, especially since it's 95 degrees here today too. So
that nun from Whiskey Peak, she was the one who had like the pepper spray in her cross, right?
Yeah,
was that?
She was using a boy.
I thought I thought they were talking about Ms. Wednesday, because wasn't she also, or not Ms. Wednesday, Ms. Monday? Is that?
Yeah, I think that was Miss Monday, the buff lady.
Yeah, the buff lady. Yeah. Who has a kid. She has a kid now with Mr. Nine. I don't think she's
Yeah, that's also that's my favorite couple in One Piece. Those two.
Yeah, they're definitely up there for me. Yeah,
very good.
Yeah.
ATLA for life. Why do you think Hawkins is staying quiet about Luffy being in Wano? Do you think it's Hawkins being shifty and possibly betraying Kaido? Or is he just afraid that if he tells Kaido, he'll punish him for not being able to subdue Luffy?
Well, Hawkins must not have too much of an allegiance to Kaido since he just joined. I assume he joined out of fear. That's my assumption. But because he was like, I mean, a couple years ago in the manga, he was, I guess, a few weeks ago in manga time, he was trying to kill him, or at least trying to get Shanks with, what was that group? It was Kid, Killer, Apu, and him?
Apu,
right?
yeah.
So,
I think he's embarrassed because he knows Luffy can kick his ass again.
It could be. I don't know. It is a good question, and I don't know that there's a clear answer. It's hard for me to envision Hawkins being like a very ambitious character, just because like his vibe is so, like subdued, I guess.
He whatever happens, whatever the cards tell him to do, he'll do, he's not
right.
Or maybe he did another card reading and like it just recently showed him something really bad.
Getting his ass kicked, and he's like, "Oh crap!"
Hawkins actually works really well.
I gotta go in for another.
Yeah. Hawkins works well in Blackbeard's crew.
Mm-hmm. He just seems more like a guy who would align himself with someone more powerful than like trying to call the shots himself.
True.
Yeah.
That's why we don't like him that much. We all kind of find him kind of lameish.
Kind of waiting to see what the draw will be. Although his straw man thing is pretty cool, I will say. Lame for Fame says, how do you think Spandam managed to presumably get promoted to CP0 as incompetent as he is, and after failing with the whole Robin kidnapping thing and being responsible for the destruction of Vanius Lobby? Same applies to Lucci and Kaku, who are even on the run in their cover story, although at least they are pretty strong / competent. I mean, I don't know. I guess the question would be like, do you get the impression that the people who are calling the shots, aside like maybe down from the 5 elders, but do you get the impression that the people calling the shots in general in the world of One Piece are like inherently competent at their job?
Spottam has a family connection as well. We saw
there's a lot of inside politics.
I think that's
he might
part of it.
He might even like be somewhat tangled up with the celestial nobles, celestial dragon. Sorry, tangled up in a good way for him, bad way for us. Who knows? I'm sure he just has a lot of pull. He's like the gun lobby.
Yeah.
Plus, also in life, some people just fail upward. I mean, there's totally great guys out there. Totally tremendous people.
Don't besmirch Spandam's name like that.
Spandam, no, he got fired, and then he did a couple, guest appearances on CNN on their panels, and then boom, he's back in CP0. It's been rehabilitated.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know. He's sort of like Bill Crystal, the Iraq War, and then welcome to the Resistance.
Or maybe he just did a stand-up routine at the Comedy Cellar.
He was like Buster Call. Now I'm all about.
I know at this point Steve has turned the podcast off. What's next?
Right. Yeah. Stupid Flanders says, this is a bit out of the blue, but I've been thinking about the rest of the level 6 prisoners that escaped from Impel Down that didn't join Blackbeard, and just wondering, when do you think they'll show up? Do you think they were a part of Rocks?
I don't think they're all members of a crew. I think they're all just a bunch of different pirates.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see them, though, because they sounded like they were, maybe just under Emperor levels of strength, like probably pretty crazy strong.
Yeah, I'm hoping like a lot of them like escaped and then found their way into other crews. Like some of them joined Blackbeard, clearly. We know those characters, but also some might be with Kaido in the New World.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, it would be cool if he can find it would flesh out, I think, the story more if he found a way to reintroduce or I guess, introduced for the first time some of those characters, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they just never get mentioned again.
No, actually, remember, we have a bounty hunter who was hunting them. Did Django or Dean Ango?
Django.
Yeah.
John Ongo.
John Ongo, that's that guy. So,
God.
like, it's something Oda's clearly thought about. Like, if he's constructed a bounty hunter that's searching for those
Oda thinks of just about everything.
Yeah.
Including Tao Pai Pai.
Right.
Yeah.
Nyverse has a theory about the big hat and emu. Got a lot of emu comments today. I think the hat is just a normal hat and has no powers or sentience on its own. However, someone who has the ability to hear the voice of all things, a three-eyed person, or a devil fruit ability can access the memory of the former user or even the hat itself, like how Roger was able to use the poneglyphs. And I think Emu has one of these abilities, and that's what he was doing with the hat. P.S. Bonus crackpot theory. If Emu is male and a three-eyed person, does that mean he is Pudding's dad?
Wow. The leaps of logic.
I really like at least the first half of that theory.
I like the voice of all things, maybe. The devil fruit ability, maybe. The three-eyed person, maybe, but all of those are huge, huge, huge leaps. Like, you know, I could connect two random things and say it's possible, but that doesn't make it, you know, true necessarily. Like, he could be right about all of this, but
I think this theory is following a clear narrative, though. I don't think it's completely disparate and random.
No, but it's a little. It's a very crackpot.
It's huge. It's a huge theory.
Yeah, I like for me the things I like about predicting. I like taking from story hints or story elements that Oda has put on. That's why I like the voice of all things one. That I think might be more, you know, possible.
Oh, yeah, but the pudding thing is...
I mean, obviously the pudding thing is ridiculous. But
no, because the three-eyed thing is like, it's like in that ballpark. It's like the implications that the three-eyed people are people who like genetically have an access to that.
That's why I think that part of it's consistent.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with the hat or the voice of all things or any special ability beyond being two-faced? Like, we haven't seen anything yet from the three-eyed.
Yeah, we haven't even seen Emo. We don't even know Emo's gender, let alone anything else. Like, we don't even know if it even has two eyes, let alone three eyes.
We don't even know if it has a gender.
If that is Pudding's dad, does that mean like he actually secretly has a crush on Vivi then?
Okay. Now I'm starting to like this crackpot theory all of a sudden.
All right, almost done with Reddit here. Pirate Hunter D has a theory that the upcoming battle in Bakura will lead to Tama using her power on Hold'em's lion. This will have no effect on Hold'em, but make the lion switch sides to the Straw Hats during the fight, which has the potential for some truly hilarious developments.
I like that.
It's halfway there already. I like that idea.
Well, the lion's already in her mouth. She's already in the lion's mouth, so
yeah,
she just has to feed him her cheek.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she might not want to show it in public too. That might be like a.
That's true.
But I like that idea a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah. Last comment on Reddit is from Grooves, who says Okiku and Zoro's dynamic this chapter felt like a parody of Zoro's final speech to Kuina. I wonder if that was the intention. What was the final speech?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Was that just that he was gonna win, or
it was the whole like, I don't care if you're a woman, I just want to beat you, and the fact that I would beat you because you're a woman is insulting.
Right.
Which is a great speech that he undercuts with the Tashigi stuff, but that's not thinking.
Totally disagree. I totally disagree with that point. But
the Tashigi stuff in Punk Hazard.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay,
I disagree. I think you guys are all misreading that moment, but I wasn't on that chapter, so can't talk about it.
Well, it was a few years ago. I think it was way before you came on the show.
Sure. I listened to it. I listened to it though.
Okay. Thank you for being a listener, Brian. So that's gonna do it for Reddit, unless there's any other thoughts on that.
No.
Ed, it's time to
Peace the Tweezers.
Good one.
Yeah. I lost my voice at a wrestling show on Saturday, so I can abuse it like that.
Go ahead. Twitter.
All right. First one comes from Pongzilla, who says, this weekend at the Rose City Comic Con in Portland, Yuriko Yamaguchi, Robin's Japanese voice actress, will be appearing. What is a good question I could ask if I get the chance during her panel? Sorry for the short notice. I just found out myself last week.
Who did you say it was? Yamaguchi or?
Yuriko Yamaguchi.
Yeah.
Ask
her about Evangelion. Ask her if she's done some.
Yeah, that's a. I mean, I'm trying to think of like what you would. I guess like just like what's the most interesting thing that she's done that she hasn't recorded, that hasn't been released yet, that she's recorded or that she can't wait to come out.
I don't know what does she most identify with the character about. That'd be something I'd be interested.
Oh wait,
in.
Robin's not in Whole Cake Island, so it's likely she hasn't recorded in a while. So she could ask like, how has it been not being on One Piece for such a long time, and still getting paid? You don't have to mention that part. But yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have any
suggestions?
Yeah, those are good suggestions.
Okay, what's next?
Okay. Operation Druid says, if the Straw Hats had a streaming device on the Sunny, which shows would each Straw Hat watch and from what platform?
Oh boy.
God.
Okay, so so we got. We should probably just narrow this to which ones.
Netflix, Hulu, Amazon,
Crunchyroll,
Verve, yeah.
Verve,
yeah.
There's a lot.
I don't know. There's like some gaming platforms.
There's
too.
the
Twitch.
WWE one, right?
Yeah, it's WWE Network.
Slurp Latin.
Slurp HD.
Slurp HD.
I have no idea.
I love Slurp HD.
But like, what kind of programming would the Straw Hats
What the hell is that?
Yeah.
Like, clearly
Robin's
watching the drama.
Oh, Parks and Rec.
Usopp's watching Verb, or there used to be a comedy one a little while ago too.
Oh yeah, Crackle. God.
CISO.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, that's all on Verve now, so he would watch.
Yeah.
It. I watch Harmon Quest, which I enjoy. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. People I know would be glad to hear that.
Yeah. No, I like D&D stuff is the best part about his podcast by long and away, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So seeing that in an exclusive kind of form is a lot of fun.
I feel like Sanji would definitely not watch a cooking show.
Yeah, because he already knows everything.
Yeah, he'd be like, these guys are amateurs.
Yeah, I don't think he has Food Network. Frankie would watch HGTV, I'm pretty sure, though.
Top Gear.
Yeah. Which is those channels, I guess all channels have streaming platforms, so yeah. What would I guess Luffy would watch the Food Network, I feel like. Just like beef related shows.
Yeah, he would find real random. He's probably the one watching like the streams of Japanese sumo wrestling.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. I say NHK. You'd watch some of that.
Okay.
Yeah, Usopp would also enjoy that. Usopp and Luffy would probably watch the same TV.
Yeah, Nami, I could see would have been really into Andrew Bourdain, R.I.P.
Anthony. Yeah.
Anthony, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. Our next one comes from Steven Trelstad. It says, hey guys, in episode 852, did you notice that Luffy was in a certain pose after getting hit by Katakuri's Gum Gum Giant Axe? Dragon Ball fans will recognize it. No, I didn't recognize that. Sam, do you know what he's talking about?
He's talking about the Yamcha pose.
Oh, I did hear about that.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were being facetious at.
Did you guys mention that on the...
I didn't think of that as a pose, really.
We did. We talked about it.
Okay, good. It is a pose. It is definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, there are figures of
an icon.
It. Yeah. It is an icon.
It's a way of life.
I wish that there's like a church out there of just
like some meditative retreat. You just go and they
the church of that one pose Yamcha made that one time.
There's got to be a better name than that.
But it's like you're doing yoga and they say return the child pose. At the end of a yoga session, you go to Yamcha pose.
It's just the Church of Yamcha. Because that's all he really has going for him. I've been listening to All Systems Goku.
It's such a good podcast.
Great podcast. And they just rag the hell on Yamcha. I don't hate Yamcha that much, but I also But I also kind of love listening to them rag on Yamcha the entire time. It's weird. It's like I'm trying to think of a One Piece character that would even be close to that. But I can't think of one off the top of my head. Anyway, go ahead. What's the next question?
Next one comes from Yin Tam F, who says, something occurred to me just recently. In every sea, Luffy has gained 4 new crew members. He got Zoro, Nami, Usopp, and Sanji in the East Blue, Chopper, Robin, Frankie, and Brook in the Grand Line. In the New World, he'll get Jinbei. That leaves room for 3 more. Yeah, I don't think that's how it works. I'm sure you do. You have more than 2 ideas.
Yeah, do you have more than 2 besides Jinbei, Sam?
Oh, Bunny, not Bunny.
Caesar and Carrot, Bunny.
Yeah,
no,
yes.
we met Bunny
Caesar,
this
get
week. Yeah.
Yeah, Jinbei, Caesar, Carrot, and
One
Bunnybeard.
more. Bunnybeard.
Oh, Bunnybeard. Okay, there you go.
How many rabbits can we get on the crew? And then they're going to multiply. Oh, God. There'll be millions of them.
Yes. Return to Sabat says, now that we've seen what looks to be Bunnybeard, what are some beards you want to see in the future?
Wait, are you saying we didn't come up with this first? He said this 3 hours ago. So yeah, I guess he came up with this like just before we said it on the show.
I think
Damn
Steve made a Bunnybeard joke on Twitter.
Oh, damn you, Steve. Damn.
Yeah, it's a thing now. It is known.
But this question was asked during Peachbeard, I think.
Yeah.
Keep asking. Funny.
What other beards?
All right, who was the one who guessed Bunnybeard was going to be next in the pool?
What about this? What animal beards would you like to see?
Crab beard.
Did you say crab or crab?
Crab.
I did the Maryland crab thing this weekend, and I'm all cut up. But it would be that would be a terrifying looking beard. They're ugly creatures.
Bear beard,
dog beard. I like bear beard because that's like. I feel like that would be a thing. I also want to see a cosplay of Bunnybeard.
I'd like to see Bee Beard, like just wearing a beard of bees.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I can't remember this animal's name, but I'll have to describe it. You know that lizard that runs on the water, upright?
Jesus lizard.
Is that what it's called? No.
I think it's a slang term for it. I think if you Google Jesus, I'm gonna
yeah.
No, that's a band.
Really?
Yeah. Let's see.
The basilisk lizard, I guess. I don't know.
It also comes up. It as the Jesus lizard actually comes.
The common basilisk or Jesus Christ lizard.
Oh wow.
That's his formal name.
The common basilisk.
Yeah.
We're learning so much.
Oh my god. If we're doing kind of like crazy ones, Komodo dragon beard.
Yeah,
and it would just they have that like saliva that just like is just everywhere. So that would be really disgusting.
Yes. It would be. All right, let's move on to the next one. Ghost Starch says, if Tashigi shows up in Wano, she may recover some Meito from the defeated pirates. These are the named blades. Napoleon and Amon's Shirao are examples, plus all headliners so far using swords. Those could be named blades as well. This is her best chance to get closer to her dream. But she's still headed over to Vegapunk, right? We still haven't seen her since then.
Yeah, I don't know what my Tashigi expectations are for this arc.
I don't think she's going to be in it.
I don't think she'll be in it.
No. I think the Marines will show up partway.
I just don't think it's going to be Tashigi and Smoker this soon.
Mm.
They're with Vegapunk. I think that has to come together somewhere, and I don't think that's going to be Wano. There's a lot of things in Wano, but not that.
It'll be Fujitora or Ryokugyu.
Actually, the perfect.
I definitely
Ryokugyu, I think, is a good bet.
I absolutely think Ryokugyu shows up by the end of Wano.
I'm going to say
within Wano. That's my guess.
The Vegapunk.
The referee.
Go ahead. Yeah, he is.
We're going to be here for a while. I think the reverie will end before Wano is over. My kind of
find out. Yeah.
The theory I'm solidifying is we're going to spend part of this arc in isolation, and then we're going to be dealing with the gifters and maybe the Shogun. And then another part of the arc will be like the world scale war that Kaido is trying to start, and the isolationist themes will kind of come through there.
I'm just gonna say quick. I think it makes most sense for Tashigi and Smoker and Vegapunk to come into play in Elbaf, since the gigantification thing has kind of been a running plot, and it seems
I'm still iffy on a Elbaf.
You still don't think that Vegapunk could show up here and be like, "This is this abomination you've done with my research on devil fruits." These smile fruits That could be a thing. I don't know.
Yeah, but the problem is we don't know about Vegapunk's motivations at all.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I would also point out, just kind of like a One Piece story, larger thing. Every island we go to kind of has a theme, and one thing we haven't done is like a future island, and I think that's where Vegapunk could be located.
Well, the
Straw Hats would go there.
You think we would go to him and not vice versa?
I think we'd go to him. He'd be involved.
Punk Hazard had kind of a futuristic.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But like, we haven't done like a future island.
Like a regular city, like a modern day.
Yeah, like a metropolis of some sort.
It could be on the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they go and they play
space
arcade games that you control with your mind.
I want to see One Piece Williamsburg. Or Portland for those who don't know New York references. Ed, what's next?
There's too much stuff in this series. We need less stuff.
I want One Piece Colonial Williamsburg.
Denied.
G123 asks, if you had to name your son and daughter a name from the One Piece world, what would it be? Normie names like Jack and Johnny and Tony are off the table.
I got Lucy here. That's not a kid, but that's a dog. So
Killer.
Perfect.
I have a friend who named his son Kuma.
That's cool.
His son's is also half Japanese, so it's fair.
That's still cool, though. Bear is a cool name for... I feel like Theodore Roosevelt should have...
And actually know another guy actually named Bear. Beauregard, short name, but yeah.
McCreary.
Bartolomeo.
Cavendish. All good names.
Man.
Carrot.
So many...
Jill's going to name her child Shirahoshi.
Definitely. I mean, if Jill has a child, the name of that child will be Shirahoshi. Or Wimpy Hoshi.
Okay. Move on to the next one. Patrick Rizzolo says, since we know Moria and his crew lost to Kaido in the past, do you think Absalom's animal body was a response to the gifters so he could be strong like them?
Huh.
That's actually really interesting. Yeah.
I wonder what the timeline on that is. Like, how long has Kaido had Smile Fruits?
Well, it's also Hogback's creation. He creates the bodies, right?
Yeah, and Absalom won at that. And that's if Absalom was like had any notion or inkling of what Kaido was doing.
I could see this. This is a good theory. I don't think it's that ridiculous at all.
Yeah, if it happens in the series, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I could see that being a motivation. Did we get Thousand Beast Kaido? When did we get that epithet?
I thought during the war, or maybe right after.
That would have. Well, that would have had to been at least.
Was it pre-time skip or post-time skip? Is what I guess.
Because I think post-time skip is the first time we even knew.
I think it was during Punk Hazard.
Is that the first time we heard Thousand Beasts?
I think it was post-time skip.
Because we knew nothing about Kaido until Law called him like the strongest beast in the world or something like that, or the strongest creature.
I was gonna say if we had heard
but
that,
from Moria, I thought we heard about it from Moria.
No, Moria just mentioned his name, but
I gotta look back. Yeah,
but we didn't know. He didn't have an epithet beyond that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Stacy Chen asks: if the OPP crew had a sumo slapping contest, who would win?
Slapping?
Well, I mean, we already know Steve has experience with just sumo slapping people out of the way.
He does that a lot.
I'm betting on Steve or Ed.
Yeah, slapping's not my forte either. So.
I'd bet on Steve. He's large. He's got a base of power.
Yeah, Yeah, we should do a sumo, a One Piece podcast sumo contest the next what do you call it, convention.
Can we just settle for an arm wrestling?
That's also cool. Yeah, I could do that.
I have sensitive, brittle wrists from typing all day.
Perfect. Steven's going to be first.
Undefeated versus Steven.
Versus Steven. I want to write that one down, even though that doesn't won't make it. What's next?
91 Ryan says, based on the end of this week's chapter, I hope it opens with Luffy. I guess he means next chapter. I hope it opens with Luffy, Hold'em, Law, and Hawkins all squaring off against each other. Hold'em would say, looks like we got ourselves a Mexican Wano standoff.
I thought that was 3.
Yeah,
four.
So too.
Isn't it the land of death, not Mexican?
No, the land of cocoa.
The land of Coco.
The land of Coco.
Oh, speaking of Coco,
Conan's
in Japan right now.
Oh yeah,
he's
the
really feuding with Detective Conan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you serious?
He's going to Conan Town.
What does that have to do with Coco?
It has nothing. Well, Team Coco.
Coco, right? Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
That's amazing. He's trying to get his name back.
I guess.
But it'd be great if like Frank Frazetta shows up.
It's funny that they changed the name of Case to Case Closed just to avoid Conan being angry, and instead of being angry about it, well, I mean he's being fake angry about it.
I don't think it was that.
Yeah, it's Conan the Barbarian. As
Oh,
well.
really?
That's why Conan O'Brien doesn't have a leg to stand on. Frank Frazetta can show up. It's like, hey, dude, I created that.
Oh, that's annoying. Okay, never mind then. Do we have anything else?
Last one. Spooky Yelly says, favorite side characters in an arc, like the two monkeys in Skypiea. I guess he means Shoujo and Mashira. Or a villain. Not main villains. Let's go with side villains. Any side characters.
Like side characters who are villains or villainous?
Either way. No, good or bad.
Oh, I think about that.
I like Mayor Iceberg is always a good one.
It's a good character, yeah.
Very good.
The Skypiea special remind me of really like Conus. She's a good.
What the Squard
From the war?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for the voice I gave him.
I mean, just thinking of Skypiea, I always love Getetsu.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's good. He's like barely in that special.
I know. The special for sure, yeah.
His cover story needs to be animated.
It needs to be brought back into the series. Where is that guy?
He's hanging out in Alabasta still. He's just hanging out.
I don't know if this counts specifically as a side character because the role that she plays is actually very important. But I would say Dadan, like as a character that you don't see very often, but
she's great,
really good.
Big News Morgan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The Yeti Cool Brothers.
All right, let's end this.
Yeah. I was looking at I'm reading the Kaido Gecko Moria conversation and the Gecko Moria Kuma conversation. I haven't seen it yet. It might have been discussed at another point, but anyway, let's do some trivia and round off. You guys ready?
All right.
This has been the One Piece Podcast, episode 535 for September 3rd, 2018. We have a lot of fun trivia coming up. But first, I want to remind people to subscribe to us if you have not on Patreon at patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. Lots of cool perks there. We've redone the tier system a little bit, so I hope you like it. Please give us your feedback. If there's anything you want as a perk, let us know, and we'll consider putting that in. We're also going to be adding some new goals and a lot more on there soon, so please keep an eye. Next week, there's no manga, so we're going to be talking about one or some of the following. Volume 90, the Vivre Card data book, or I guess fan book, or the Skypiea movie, or Kelly's trip to Japan. So one or more of those will be discussed next week. Keep an eye on Twitter to find out which of those things we discuss. And don't forget, Alex had to leave us early today, but you could contact him, Dude Exclamation. He's also on Toho Yaro, our sister podcast on the Maji Media Network. So check that out if you have not at tohoyaro.onepiecePodcast.com or at any podcatcher near you. Brian, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Dark King Zoro, all one word. You can check out any of my old artwork, Banendorf, on DeviantArt. Check out episodes of Teen Titans Go. I was storyboarding on season 5. Watch old episodes of Rick and Morty if you feel so inclined. But if you want to see me at any conventions recently, I will be at the J1 Con, I think the week following, the week of September 14th and 15th. I'll be having a table and doing a talk about animation production. Also check out the podcast I do with a few of the industry friends of mine called Animation Success Stories Podcast. That's ASS Podcast on YouTube and Twitter. And we will also have a table if you're in the Pasadena, California, Southern California area at NerdBot. I think September 22nd on a Saturday. I'll have several panels, which I'll be hosting with Eric Bowser, Darren Nancy of... oh God, what's their show? I'm so terrible. Her show just blanked on me, but she's a creator at Disney, and then Dave Stone, the director, Emmy-nominated director of Teen Titans Go, and Pete Michaels, the producer from Teen Titans Go. So, yeah, this September's crazy. If you want to hang out and talk to me, just come to either of those conventions. In Philadelphia is J1Con, and Pasadena is NerdBot. So, yeah.
Thank you, Bryan.
Stuff. Thank you.
One quick story. Sorry, Bryan. I know how you're going to answer this, but I was at the Maryland State Fair yesterday, and everywhere they had, they have those stupid big stuffed animal prizes you could win. Rick and Morty everywhere. They were everywhere.
Show's too popular.
Yep, that's the answer I was expecting. Sam.
The people can find me on Twitter at Like a Chainsaw. They can find me on the One Piece podcast every week doing the anime recaps, and they can find me on Anime News Network, AnimeNewsNetwork.com, doing the daily streaming reviews for One Piece, My Hero Academia, and Black Clover. Now, the latter of those two shows are going to be wrapping up soon, except they just announced that Black Clover, for some reason, is just going to keep going for a few more months.
Huh. So that's bizarre.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Steven, who are we? Where are we, Steven?
Who are we? We are on Twitter at Translatosaurus, where you can see pictures of our cat and various manga observations, dry observations from time to time. And that's it.
Ed, where could the good people out there contact us?
Well, Alex was on the show. He's at Dude ! URSAC_Logan. I'm Edward E. One Piece. Podcasts at OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Facebook.com/OnePiecePodcast, r/OnePiecePodcast. That's our subreddit. You can send us some piece together there. Our email address is OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com. Our Skype name is One Piece Podcast. You can call us on that. You can subscribe on SoundCloud, subscribe on Google Play, subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts, or call us on our phone number, Zach.
That phone number is 347-497-MAJI. That phone number again is 347-497-6254. Call anytime. With your questions, comments, whether his face is beard, his legs are sword, or his tummy is lion. So, we have some trivia, as usual. We're going to continue from last week's trivia round. For those who don't know, we are doing SBS trivia. And each person's going to be able to pick a member of the Straw Hat Pirates of their choice, and they're going to have to correctly guess an answer to, what's their favorite food, for example. Luffy likes meat. And so we have 7 this week, which is much less than the 10 last week. And these are all the remaining ones I could find. So this will be the last time we do this. Bryan, by the way, one who gets the most correct wins. Bryan, which character would you like to guess from?
Usopp.
Usopp for you. So, let's begin. Least favorite food for Usopp.
Oh, least favorite?
Least favorite.
Wow, I didn't even know you had one.
He got sick once from this.
Oh, God. I do remember this in an SBS.
I bet you don't. You might. I don't know. 3 seconds. God. I'm going to time you guys this week.
Yeah, that's fine. I thought it was a seafood. Sorry.
No, mushrooms is the answer.
Mushrooms, that's right.
How many hours of sleep does Usopp get? Or prefer to get? Or get?
6 to 8? 6 hours.
It was 7. You said 6 to 8, and that's right in the middle, so I will give that to you. Suitable career choices. So what would Usopp be best suited for, according to the SBS? I remember this one, actually. This is a pretty recent question. 3 seconds.
Yeah. Artist.
Graphic designer. I will give that to you.
Wow.
Cooking specialty.
I don't remember this at all.
I think I'm gonna get this one, but yeah, go ahead. 3 seconds.
God, I can't even come up with anything funny.
Fish and chips.
I should have got that.
What place would he get in a race? Out of 9.
Out of the Straw Hats?
Out of the 9, yeah. Not Jinbei in this, yeah.
I think he was 3rd I think he was 3rd or 4th.
Give me one.
3rd.
No.
Third.
He was 6th. What does Usopp put in his signature? His autograph, sorry.
A slingshot.
No.
His nose.
You can't keep guessing. That's not how this works.
I know, but I'm still
It's
wrong.
his silhouette, and then it's dedication.
It's his profile specifically.
Yeah, it's his profile.
Right?
Yeah. Silhouette, profile. Yeah, same thing. Okay. And last question: what is Usopp's bounty?
I'm blanking.
Well,
It's
he has
200 million.
he has 2 choices. To be fair.
Yeah,
Because
200
Soga
million.
King, yeah, Soga King has one too. Okay, Sam. You got 3. Sam.
Yeah.
Which character would you like?
Robin.
All right, Robin. Here we go. Least favorite food.
Anything too sweet. Right?
No,
like
that's
that.
not the reason. You're kind of close. It's anything that you can't swallow. Gum is specifically. The thing. Gum could be not sweet, so I don't want to give that one to you. Hours of sleep for Robin.
7.
Perfect.
Wow.
Suitable career choice for Robin. I
think this one was like a super weird one.
Yeah, I never would
have
have picked this.
It was like airplane attendant or something.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Cabin attendant.
I remember that one because that was.
It was like her and Frankie are like paired. I remember.
Yep, you're right. Cooking specialty.
Cooking specialty.
She has 2 choices here.
I don't know.
So you can pick either. Nope, that is not a cooking specialty. Boiled food, which I guess tea is boiled, but it's not a food. Paella is the other choice. What place would she get in a race? Out of 9.
8.
Yeah, correct. What is in her autograph?
In the autograph she did, it was a rooster, wasn't it?
Yep.
For Barto.
Yeah, perfect. And what is her bounty?
Let's see. Her current one is
current
130.
Perfect. Good job, Sam. You got 5. Steven, pick a character.
I want to do Frankie.
All right, Frankie. Least favorite food for Frankie.
Least favorite food.
I could give you the reasoning if you'd like, but otherwise you could guess.
Sure.
It's not hard.
Not hard. Soup.
Nope. Marshmallow. Which actually makes sense. How many hours of sleep?
Frankie. I feel like he would get like 5.
Nope. 8.
Damn.
Wow.
Living it up.
Frankie's career choice.
Okay. This one, was he the pilot?
He was the pilot.
Yeah, okay.
Cooking specialty.
Cooking specialty.
It's obvious, this one.
Obvious.
I think.
Like burgers?
Sure, barbecue.
Barbecue.
It's barbecue time for Frankie.
I was gonna joke that it'd be like spinach or something. Iron.
What number would he be in the race out of 9?
Out of 9. 9th?
Yep.
Yes.
He is the heaviest. And if you think about it, when he uses the tank, he is extremely slow. What is in Frankie's autograph?
It's the star, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And his bounty.
His bounty. Oof. I feel like it wasn't that high.
There was actually a gag for this. I'll give you that hint.
There was a gag?
Yeah.
I don't know. Wasn't it like 73 million or something like that?
It's 94 million because he was under 100 and he was mad at Usopp for getting over 100.
Because his base bounty was like 44 million and then everyone got bumped up 50 at Dressrosa. Oh, gotcha.
Okay, so we have Steven has 4, Bryan had 3, and Sam has 5. Ed, you need 6 to win.
All right, who's left? What characters are left?
All of them except for Usopp, Robin, and Frankie. So that's Luffy, Nami, Sanji, Chopper, Brook.
I'll go Chopper. I did Zoro last week.
Yeah, Chopper wasn't chosen, I don't think, last week. How many hours of sleep, not including naps, does Chopper get?
9.
10. Sorry. Close though. What career choice would Chopper have? As an adult. As an adult.
Doctor?
It's a little too obvious.
Too on the nose? Okay.
An elementary school teacher is the answer.
I never would have gotten that.
Cooking specialty. This is a funny
Anything that's sweet.
Can you be more specific?
Cotton candy.
Mixed juice.
Okay.
Where would he be in a race? What place out of 9?
Oh, and tea is silly.
Yeah, to be fair, I didn't see that when I made fun of you about that. This is in Walking Point, by the way. For Chopper, that matters.
That's it. That's when he's on all fours, right?
Yeah.
5th.
4th. You are so close, but getting them wrong. What's in Chopper's signature?
His hoof print.
Yep, you got that one. And what is his bounty?
100 berries?
Yeah, so you got 2. Our winner today is Sam. Nice job, Tayaki. My favorite for who would win in a race is Zora would have been ranked higher, but he got lost. In the middle. Okay. Hopefully we could play that with different characters at some point in the future, because I find these a lot of fun. So congratulations, Sam. That'll do it. We'll be back next week for a lot of fun stuff. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but we'll see you next week on the One Piece Podcast. My name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
Oh, yeah, that's it. We'll see you next week, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
It's either the bunnies or it's either that beard is a bunny, or the top of that bunny's head, that goiter, is a grumpy old man.
Ooh, yeah.
So he could just be grumpy goiter.
No, but
God, I hope Luffy goes through this whole arc doing that.
No, but I mean,
it's like the dress. Is it blue? Is it gold?
Oh God.
No, well, I'm gonna.
Is that a goiter or is that a beard?